Hello YouTube as well. Also shout out to my stream, obviously, because there's a lot of people watching this. We're back a week later once again. We've covered the sabers, we've covered the archers, and now it is time for the pointy stick people. More or less the same number of servants as the previous two as well. So you know, expect another close to 4 hours or so, maybe more, maybe less. I have no idea. So that's gonna happen. And again, shout out to all the nice comments people leaving. Shout out to everyone watching all these videos. Well, there is again, I keep getting surprised. There's a lot of people watching the full thing. A lot of them. So shout out to all of you guys, even if it takes you multiple sittings. It's very cool. And right from the get-go, I have to say again, much like the Archer one, I didn't do the most prep for today. So it's mostly gonna be me winging all this stuff, you know. But at least I'm hoping and knowing that I have a decent amount of experience with definitely most of the servants. Not with everyone, so take that as you will, but most of them I have a good chunk of experience with, even many JP ones. So now, let's just get on with it. Disclaimers first, obviously, even though, again, they're the same as the previous videos, but because someone might not watch all of these different videos, here they are again. So, I'm definitely not an expert. It's literally only my opinion on things. Sometimes chat can sway, you know, my opinion one way or the other. Probably not too much though, and obviously I'll have the final say in this particular list in placement because it is my list. And yeah, in some cases, like I just mentioned, I don't have the most experience with the servants. So, you know, not every placement will be like fully perfect with a lot of, you know, labbing and research behind it. Obviously, as you can see, every servant in the game for Lancers to this day, February 18th, if you want to reference, is in this one. And also every buff to this day will also be included. So, also that includes the same for supports as well, in case that wasn't obvious. So obviously I'm going to consider the existence of Castoria, Koyanskaya, Oberon, etc., all the good stuff. Even all the non-good stuff. Now, this was something I didn't mention, I think, on the Saber and Archer one, but I hope it was obvious. Different rarities aren't being directly compared here. So let's say a 4-star ranks higher than a 5-star, that they might have very similar roles. You shouldn't really take that as like a sign of like comparison between them, because, you know, it's mainly comparison between within the own rarity as well, if that makes sense. So don't really look too much into that. It might not mean that the 4-star is better than the 5-star that is ranked higher in a similar role. Sometimes it is, honestly. Sometimes a 4-star can absolutely be better than a 5-star, but not always. So again, not a direct comparison. Now, the main placement criteria obviously still is I will rank the servants based on what I think they do the best and how well they do it. If someone is a farmer, obviously I'm going to place them as a farmer. If someone is good against bosses, they will be considered as boss killers. Obviously, if someone is good for many roles, hey, great for them. They're probably going to get some bonus points as well. So not everyone is going to be rated purely by one thing. Even stuff like soloing, supporting, tanking, like whatever it is, we're all going to take into account if it's worth, you know, considering for the servant. Comparisons will happen between the servants, again, not between rarities, but between their peers in the similar rarities. And obviously, I mean, if a lower rarity is better than a higher one, obviously they will get a lot of points from it if they truly are exceptional, but mostly in that direction only. MP1 assumed across the board for the non-welfare golds. And although I have to, this was a comment as well, again, good critique is also welcome. If someone is like a really old permanent servant, they you know, it's a bit easier maybe to give them a bit more leeway on the MP level. Like, let's say Elizabeth here for Lancers, who's a day 1 4-star permanent, been in the game for 6.5 years now. Obviously account age will also take into effect, but you know, it will maybe a small difference in the, you know, rating versus story locked limited. Not a big one though. And obviously, if this wasn't obvious, this is a gameplay tier list, not a favorites one. Obviously, I have some bias to some servants, but I am gonna try to be as unbiased as I can, you know, so I'm trying to be very objective here. order of placement should be very obvious as well. We start from the lowest rarity to the highest, so from 1 to 5 stars. In this list there's not even any 1 stars, but also among the rarities they will be placed in the order of release as well. I think there's a couple of small mishaps here with the order, but at least the rarities should happen in order, so it's not that big of a deal. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, you feel free to skip around if you want. Again, I don't blame you if you don't want to watch the whole thing. And I will, again, take more time out of my, free time to even lovingly make you some nice timestamps you will find in the description to easily find what you're looking for. So there you go. I hope you enjoy. And at the end, some placements, and even during it, but definitely at the end. If you always check the end no matter what before you become angry at me for placing someone, because the positioning might shift a little at the end where we do maybe some final adjustments, so check that as well before you comment anything. Alerts are off, so no more interruptions or anything, and there you go. We should be good to go, right? Pretty much. Oh yeah, let me do actually one thing first. This is literally going to take a few seconds, but I forgot one thing in my preparation. There's so many things I needed to remember here, but let's see. Just one small tweak I forgot to do. There we go. Good. Also, Winter, thanks for the 30-month sub, my dude. Welcome back to the Go Gang. Big resub. Enjoy the new badge. So, we're gonna start... Day 1 servant, one of the bronze servants of Lancer. It's gonna be Mr. Leonidas, 2-star Lancer. Also, thank you so much for gifting 5 subs. Very nice of you. Thank you, very much appreciated. Let me grab my notes for the numbers again and whatnot. So, he's like a... He's definitely not a DPS, so I'm gonna call him a tank here. He's definitely a tank first and foremost. Now, having said that, his attack is it's actually higher, quite a bit higher than average for a 2-star. If anything, I was hoping it to be quite a bit lower instead of favoring more HP, since his HP is actually unfortunately lower than the average for a 2-star. I'm not sure, again, if he was released this day and age, it would probably be different, but yeah, what can you do? So I feel like that's already quite a bit of a problem for Leonidas. Despite his kit not being terrible, him being a tank within 2-star stats is he's not the greatest at soaking damage, especially compared to some later stuff you'll see. Not necessarily in this list, but some other lists. But yeah, his gains are not that good. They can be decent though with one of his skills active, but besides that, they're pretty bad, I would say, for most of the time. Double Buster, double Quick Deck. With the Buster MP, despite no damage, he is still capable of doing a full Buster Brave Chain. But don't expect damage from him, because he definitely is not there for damage. First skill, Self-Taunt, 1 turn. MP Gen, there it is. This is one of the best MP gain skills in the game. It is a ridiculous plus 100% MP gain for self. This is not even MP gain on like damage taken, which we'll see later. This is just flat out the MP gain up by 100%. Half the turn is going to be active on a 6-turn cooldown on max rank. That's a ridiculous amount of gains. So at least with this active, his gains are actually pretty decent. Very, very nice. But yeah, again, interesting design, I suppose. I would obviously prefer if the taunt was 3 turns, but luckily it's not his only taunt, so he can be a little bit excused here, I feel like. Second skill used to be a basic Guts, was buffed pretty recently from what I remember. One-time Guts, 5 turns on a 6-turn cooldown. That alone is very solid for uptime, I have to say. Better than most Guts in terms of that. And he now also has an active on his Guts. So when the Guts procs, your entire party gets a flat 20% attack 3 turns. So again, it doesn't help him too much, but, helps the team. Because he definitely won't be the DPS of your team, chances are, when you're fielding him. So there you go. Very cool. Also, yeah, worth mentioning, it's now stackable. Very nice. Love that. On anyone who needs to live, a stackable Guts is always really good. So again, you can absolutely run like a Guts CE with him, and it won't cuck you from using this skill. So again, stackable Guts, big. This is now actually a great defensive skill in my opinion, with some nice utility as well. And then the third skill, it's alright. Party-wide Buster up 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown, 25%. Not bad. Definitely still okay. Especially for a 2-star, more than okay, I would say. So, you know, honestly, his kit, while being very basic, it's actually not bad. Especially after the Guts buff, so... Oh yeah, worth mentioning, the cooldown came down here as well, and the Guts is now actually a whopping 5k HP. That's like the... I think that's like tied to the best Guts there is. So, I'm not sure if there's a Guts higher than 5k HP in the game, from CEs or whatever. So, there you go. Pretty solid. Normally, the HP doesn't matter too much, but with 5k, combined with like his MP and maybe some buffs from your team, he can actually still live after being revived by this. Downtime is really good in terms of like it being low. Magic Resist is nice, but it would have been nice to have higher. Berserker bonus, you know, it's nice, but for him, it doesn't really do much. And then the MP has not been buffed ever, but with an MP3, MP5, you do always get that nice flat 25 stars on use. Then on OC, you get on base, self-defense up 30% on 3 turns. Solid number. And then 3-turn taunt self. There it is. Again, you definitely want to use his MP if you want the most out of him, because the 1-turn taunt on his skills won't really get you too far, but... wow, what could I say? It's a good tanking MP, I suppose. Again, I feel like the biggest problem Leonidas has is just his low numbers as a 2-star. Besides that, he works. He just works. But, you know, kind of unfortunate with the, especially the HP being less than 8k. It's not really that ideal. But even then, with a good amount of buffs on level 65, no grails, just, what, let's say 1k foes, he can still do tanking. He might not be the best there is, but he's not bad at all. I really like the Guts buff too. This is, again, these are pretty hard to place in my opinion. I almost want to place him in B after the Guts buff. I was thinking maybe average or so, because again, he's not even the best among the options you have. But I'm thinking a B ranking is pretty fair for him as a tank. He's not bad. I just wish he was a higher rarity. Same with like someone like Asterios, who will be covered in a much later list on Berserker. Definitely suffers mostly from the shitty stats of his rarity. But yeah, kit still works really well, honestly. I could maybe even a good day see a B+, but I think I'll start with a B here. There you go. Leonidas. Good guy. Then we get the next 2-star. Another day 1 servant, I believe. Benkei. Again, not a DPS. I guess he's still a tank first and foremost as well. I'm gonna call him a tank too. He's a tank that does tanking less, but with more utility than what Leonidas has. So that's the difference, I suppose. Arts MP this time, but still no damage on that. Double arts, double quick deck, capable of a full arch chain DPS, forget about it. But you know what? At least he has the stats better than Leonidas does, I have to say. Again, definitely lowered the attack in favor of HP on these tanky units, I would say. So at least here, he does much better than what Leonidas does. Considerably better, so that's cool. His gains, they're bad. They're just bad. And unlike Leonidas, he can't really alter them much at all, so he's just stuck with bad gains. I would say normally it wouldn't be that big of a shame if you miss out on his MP, but nowadays the MP still has some use, so you still would like to get his MP sometimes, so it can be kind of annoying. But yeah, at least his HP is very nice for a 2-star, which is great. Now the skills. Oh, the skills. Oh, this is a downgrade for sure compared to Leonidas. First of all, single target skill seal on an enemy, 1 turn, 5-turn cooldown, goes up to 100% chance. This is terrible. Terrible. Again, in much like I've said in some of the previous lists, sometimes a skill seal is even a demerit, honestly, if the boss hits you really hard with face cards. Sometimes you want them to use skills instead of their face cards. So, that being the only effect on such a bad uptime as well, like, this is flat out an E-tier skill. It's really bad. Second skill. At least this one is much better, okay? Much like Leonidas, it's a 1-turn taunt, but does come with a better synergy on the other effect. A defense up for self goes up to 60% for that 1 turn. Sadly, the downtime is pretty big, but when you have this active, he's gonna tank well, though. He's definitely gonna tank well for that 1 taunt turn he has. But again, because he's a tank and he doesn't really bring you too much otherwise, I feel like the downtime is still very noticeable here, because at least Leonidas can get a 3-turn taunt from his MP, you know, and, you know, has a much better kit overall. And then the third skill, while not as terrible as the first one, it's still terrible. Mostly for the fact that it's an 8-turn cooldown. That is ridiculously stupid, okay? But at least, you know, it being AoE is already better, and MP seal is much better than a skill seal on an enemy. Sadly, it doesn't even go to 100% on base, and that doesn't even factor in, you know, debuff resistances that the enemies might have, which is ridiculous. This is a terrible skill still. It's just slightly better than the first one, but man, it is. How come it is an 8-turn cooldown? This would be shit on 6-turn as well. I swear to God, this would be bad on a 6-turn cooldown as well. There is no reason to ever have this on 8 turns. It should be like a 3-turn MP seal if it's 8 turns. For Christ's sake, this is ridiculous. It's bad. Magic Resist C+, just a little bit better than Leonidas. Would still like to see a higher number, because again, debuff resistance is even more value on a tank, because remember, Taunt actually does gain the focus of single target skills from enemies as well, so that's something to think about. So the higher you have debuff res, you know, the better it is for value, I suppose. Rider bonus doesn't make no difference. His MP used to be insanely terrible. Arguably the worst MP in the entire game. Luckily they buffed it though, so now it has a strong effect. So it's still an AoE stun chance, doesn't even go to 100% on base, 80%, 1-turn stun, but now it's an AoE buff removal at least, which is, I love that effect. Great effect, but that's all there is. More or less. The stun is unreliable as well, and the OC, forget about it. It's a tickle. They did buff it as well, which is funny, but it's definitely a tickle for the curse. I always consider dots to be insanely bottom tier when it comes to MPFX. Maybe not as bad as instant kill. Honestly, in some cases instant kill might be better than dots, but even, yeah, they're just bottom tier. It's barely now it's like a D MP or an, you know, D minus or something, because I do love this effect, but besides that it still sucks. Wow, Benkei. I love my mans, but he is tragic. I'm honestly tempted to still put him in E, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I can't put him higher than a D though. D is as high as I can go, but I'm tempted to put him in E as well, even with the MP buff, because again, I think a problem he has as well, like even if he has an AoB buff strip, would you pick him over like Leonidas, George, if you have Daeon? So even high, like other options for tanks, Mashu, like no, you probably would never really pick him, would you? So for that reason, he might just still be in E, honestly. But yeah, I do like that he has something going for him with the MP. He still needs at least 2 more buffs to even be considered remotely usable, in my opinion. Poor Benkei. Let's get the real Benkei in the game at some point, please. Now, the final 2-star, quite a bit higher here on the release order. And the final bronze one is Gareth. There you go. Actually, honestly, kind of a tank still. But at least Gareth is like tank / DPS. A bit of both. Not the greatest in either, but, you know, can do a bit of both. So, single target buster, DPS / tank. Double buster, double quick deck, I feel like is it's the standard Lancer deck, and it kind of works here, definitely. Much like Benkei, I feel like the stats are... I would still prefer more HP than attack, even if she does have, you know, damage in her kit. I still like more HP focus, because, again, she does a bit of tanking as well. So actually, very good HP. In fact, if I had to guess, this is probably one of the highest HPs you'll see in any 2-star in the game. Could be even like top 3 or top 1. I don't actually know the numbers, but that is very high for a 2-star, needless to say. Gains, while not amazing, they're definitely better than Leonidas and Benkei's on base, but, you know, not amazing or anything, because, you know, you only have that one nice arts card. But still better than those two, I suppose. Stargen, not really worth mentioning too much. There's a bit of it, but not that much. Now with skills, also like Leonidas used to have a basic guts, now was buffed as well, which is nice. So, still a 1-time guts for 3 turns on a 7-turn cooldown, so the uptime is already much worse than Leonidas. The HP is also lower. It's not a stackable one, but there's some other stuff too. So now also increases self-crit damage for 3 turns on a, you know, 50%. That's pretty good. That's good standard for a crit damage skill, I would say. And then a 20 star bomb to go with that for a bit of synergy. And because it is guts, you can definitely... It's less awkward than, let's say, if this was a dodge skill instead, because you can pop your guts early. Although not too early in this case, because it's only a 3-turn guts. So you still gotta plan a little bit. It's not that flexible compared to like a 5-turn guts. And yeah, the downtime is a bit... they didn't touch the cooldown at all. I feel like this could have been brought down to 6 turns. And it would have still been fine. So I still prefer Leonidas' buff by a mile for the guts, but it's still not a terrible skill, honestly. Second skill, this is a cool and unique skill, but okay, first of all, it's a up to 20% self-battery, and then you get a special buff for 3 turns, and every time you get attacked, you increase the damage of your next attack for 5 turns. Again, it will be consumed on 1 attack by up to 20%. Now, there's no limit to how many of these buffs you can have in the duration of that 3 turns you have the buff active. You can, so in, I guess in a normal scenario, the max you would be able to get is 9 of them, I suppose, in a normal max case scenario. So that's what plus 180% attack. There is one unfortunate thing though. Like I said, a lot of people don't know how this skill works. It doesn't consume 1 attack per your next attack. No, the next time you attack, it consumes every stack. So you better hope it's on an MP or a fat buster crit or something, because otherwise you're probably just going to waste them. And a lot of the times it might be hard to avoid an awkward scenario anyway, because chances are you have to pick some of her cards here and there, no matter what. That's just how RNG works when you're dealt cards. So it's slightly awkward. There's a good potential for damage increase here, but... yeah, I feel like the cooldown is also not the most... It's not the best, especially because it could have been 5 turns maybe, because the battery is small as well, but oh well. It's a cute skill, I feel like, but not as good as it might seem. But yeah, you can maybe get a fat MP off if you get really good, hits in. Then, of course, she has the taunt as well, because, you can't be a Bronze Lancer without a taunt. Also 1 turn only, much like the other ones on skills. Not as good as Benkei on the defense though, 40%. Still considerable though. And kind of a mix of Leonidas as well. Gets MP gain for 1 turn. Obviously the number is not as good though. In fact, it's a 1/5 of it at 20%. All of this on a 5-turn cooldown means, again, because she only has this 1 taunt like Benkei, a bit of downtime for sure. I wish it was a 3-turn taunt, I'm not gonna lie, because it would make... because this effect is also 3 turns. So I'm hoping this gets buffed at some point to be like a 3-turn taunt. Then I think Gareth would be a lot better, honestly. As is, not terrible on this kit, but... I'm not the biggest fan. Magic Receives, okay, Writing B. Honestly, not too bad, considering she has 2 4-hitter quicks, so, it's something. And then the MP is, honestly, not bad. Ignore Invul 1 turn before damage, obviously includes face cards, so that's cool. Damage, not obviously amazing with 2-star numbers, and keep in mind, if you paid attention, besides this buff, which definitely varies in how many of these stacks you'll get, that's the only damage buff she has for the MP itself, the other being a crit buff, so not the biggest damage potential. And the OC is 3 turns defense down on 10% base, and it's after damage, so I'm gonna say it's still pretty average at best as an OC. Not that great, but honestly the MP is still fine. I like the added utility of the Invul Pierce. So Gareth, definitely not as good as Leonidas as a tank, but I do have to factor in that she also does some DPS, so I don't know where to really... I'm thinking of one of these as well, but I almost would feel bad placing her on the same tier as Leonidas, even though, again, she does damage, which Leonidas doesn't do. But I don't know. I feel like she's just in the average tier here among the 2 stars. Not amazing, but not bad. Just average, I would say, pretty much across the board, even with the guts buff. But, small Gareth, cute stuff. Not bad. That's bronze done. There you go. Then we get the 3 stars. Oh boy. And we're starting with an interesting one. The OG. Ya boy. I forgot where I placed him in the 3-star tier list. And I forgot if all the buffs were also live when I did that last one, but I digress. Mr. Kurin, I don't know how to pronounce his name in English. Anyway, yeah, I love him as well. Needless to say, he's one of my favorite characters in Nasu stuff. Single target, quick DPS Lancer, and also, I don't want to call him a tank because he's not a tank, but he's definitely, I'm going to call him a survivor. Maybe that's more apt. That's a new thing. Not really, but, you know, as a term. I've never really used that before. Let me get my 3-star stats here visible. So attack, higher than average. Very good. Same as HP, so that's nice. Very good. Double buster, double quick deck. Honestly, I guess works. I still like the fact that he can do a full quick chain with his MP. And, you know, a lot of... sometimes you're definitely going to be using him alone on the field. So you can always guarantee a quick chain with an MP, which is cool for more damage and a decent chunk of stars. Not amazing, but a decent chunk of stars. Gains are not that good though, as you might expect from a day 1 low star, so they're pretty average at best, probably just, yeah, definitely under. Star gain, not that good either, it's okay at best. And now, oh man, the skills. Used to have a guts, still work with his kid, but you know, he has to get more buffs, right? So, one-time guts, 5 turns, cooldown went down to 6 turns. So again, much like Leonidas, that is a great uptime. Great uptime. Health amount also not bad at 2.5k, honestly, it's okay. And as an added bonus, he now gets attack based on the remaining HP for 3 turns. So, you know, plays into his survivor role as well. Even on base, it's not that bad, honestly, actually. So... yeah, still not bad on base. So it's a pretty damn good gut skill of them all. I still think I prefer the Leonidas gut skill because I like it stackable and whatnot. But yeah, it's good, very good. So yeah, it's like Jiro said, right? You can get it pretty much around 50% attack up at more or less if you're 1 HP. So, ooh, not bad. And then, ooh. PFA, the good version. 3 attack evade, no turn limit, 5 turn cooldown, 16% defense 3 turns. Now this is still an EX tier defensive skill to this day. To this day. In fact, I have a firm belief that if there was no PFA in the game and this was made from scratch, it would not be this good this day and age, I feel like. Again, some actually year 1 game designs ended up being good for the servants instead of mostly bad. This is definitely on the really good side. It is top for defensive skill. Very top. And, well, the one thing he hasn't been buffed yet, or I guess this one as well, but it definitely doesn't need buff. He has a basic disengage, which in my opinion just sucks. Sometimes you can get some value from the debuff cleanse on self, but yeah, it's not a good skill. It's just not a good skill. 5 turn cooldown small here, debuff cleanse. Weak. But, you know, for his sake, it actually is better than I would say maybe even most disengage users, at least the ones that still have a base version. Because, you know, he's all about the survival, so, yeah. Magic Receipt could be higher, but not bad. Divinity B, nice tickles. Berserker bonus is very nice as a DPS. Then his MP, of course, has been buffed as well. This should have been here day 1, honestly. But now it does ignore evasion for 1 turn before damage. Very nice. You know, Gabolg is not supposed to miss, so, you know, that probably should have been there day 1. Good damage. Very good damage, actually. Even despite him not having literally any damage buffs besides this. Still does good damage with the buffed MP. Because again, his attack is actually pretty okay for a 3-star. The buff damage number on a single target quick is nice. The OC, same as Gareth. 3 turn defense down, 10% base after damage. It's average at best. And then I guess, you know, insta-kill, but at least it's not the only one. But yeah, it's not really going to be relevant in most of his use cases. Because, you know, you probably pit him against bosses and there's no way you're going to insta-kill a boss. So... there you go. There's Ku. Man, what a guy. What a guy. Does a lot for a 3-star. Mostly for himself, obviously. Doesn't really help the team. But usually he's like a backliner anyway. Or, so in some cases, you can just flat out solo shit, so... yeah. Highest attack among all 3-star Lancers. Yeah, that makes sense. I forgot where I placed him, honestly, in the last tier list for 1 to 3 stars, but I'm I guess probably should be there still. Probably. Again, so I know some people will be skipping later and they're gonna be see him above some other like golden a single target lancer. They're gonna be like, he's better than them. No shot. But again, this is not a comparison between rarities. This is among 3 stars, and he's definitely very exceptional for a 3-star, even outside of Lancers. So, you know, EX for exceptional usually tends to be my rule, I suppose. Obviously, that's not what it stands for, but, you know, might as well. So there you go. I still think he's top tier. I think I'll keep with that rating. Again, I don't remember where I placed him last time, but you can't really go wrong with OG Ku for a 3-star. Call him a cockroach in the previous tier list. I mean, he's still a cockroach. I mean, again, the term, most people call him that. Well, not most, but a lot of people do. It's not an insult. It means he cannot die. You cannot kill a cockroach. They just refuse to die. So it's definitely not an insult. I love the dude, man. So, yeah. Now, moving on to the next one. The other 3-star Ku Lancer. Not again. There's more than just the Lancers. We'll be seeing Castor in a couple of weeks, which is again very exciting. But this one maybe not so exciting. We got Proto Ku. Also very similar in a lot of ways. Single target quick DPS, same deck, pretty much the same numbers across the board. Attack a little bit lower, HP a little bit higher. Not a big difference though. Very, very similar in all of this stuff up here to Lancer, the OG one. So not much to say there, honestly. But the skills though, I have to say, the Proto definitely has a bit more offense in his kit, but I don't think the trade-off might be that worth. But here we go. Self-crit damage up to 45%. Weird number. Probably should be 50 across the board. And then debuff res 3 turns, 45 as well. Good uptime though, so it's still not a terrible skill. Honestly, both of those effects are okay. You know, they're not bad effects. But, yeah. It's an okay skill, I would say. It's okay. And then, of course, he has the... it's the exact same version of the skill, right? So, obviously, it's God tier for defensive option. Very cool, you know? So, this is there at least. And then, it doesn't have disengage, doesn't have guts, but what he does have is a bit of niche. So, again, not the beast class, but the wild beast damage attribute. Up to 100% for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. So, obviously, if you're fighting wild beasts... his damage is kind of nuts, not gonna lie. With this up, it's kind of nuts if you crit and hit with your MP. It's really good. Make some 4 and 5 stars even. You look kind of sad, but obviously not the most common trait, is it? And in fact, has there even been that many bosses that would even have this trait? Probably not many, if not any. I don't remember any at least. So it's mostly against normal mobs, which again, I guess, yeah, Cerberus, maybe, there you go. Self-Star Absorb, which goes well with the crits damage here, both on 3-turn duration, and a 5-turn cooldown means the uptime is good on both. So again, he's actually not a bad crit DPS, especially for 3-star standards. So, you know, he has that going at least. Definitely not as durable as OG, but you know, he at least has the best part of the defensive kit, so that's still very good. So even as is, the kit is not bad for a 3-star, I feel like. It's just a bit different compared to OG. Magic Receipt is the same. I think these are the exact same as well, if I remember correctly. Caster bonus doesn't matter. Luckily, his MP has been buffed as well, which is good. For the longest time, it wasn't actually. But yeah, he has a somewhat different MP, mostly the same. So damage is still pretty good, I would say. It's even slightly better here because instead of not invul pierce, sure hit, he gets 20% quick up 1 turn before damage. So again, it doesn't really help too much with his gains or his star gen, but it does help with the damage, so that's cool. And he ignores defense as well as an added bonus. And the OC is the same, which honestly, this is a good MP. This is a great MP. What can I say? Especially for among 3-stars, this is like a really, really good MP. So, yeah. Even makes some 4-stars and arguably some 5-stars look weak on effects, so it's a great MP. I might even like this more than regular Ku's MP because, you know, you always don't even need to sure hit, so it's actually really good. While I don't think he's as exceptional in his role as OG is, I don't know. I think at least B+, or maybe even A, honestly. Because with all the... I think he's very good for a 3-star DPS. He's obviously not going to be like a survival god like the OG is, but, you know, he has good damage, good consistent damage, and still a very good chunk of survivability. So, honestly, yeah. Even outside of the anti-Bijnis, he has good crit damage for a 3-star, good survivability, and MP hits really hard, so I think this is very fair. Obviously, if it was against Beast, maybe I would even consider this, or Crazy Day that, but, you know, it's pretty rare to get that, so there you go. Proto Ku still very good. Very good. Depending on some needs, your needs and options, you might even pick him sometimes above normal Ku if, you know, they are your best options. Could be the case. More 3 stars. Still continuing. So, this is not Mr. Golden, but this is OG 3-star Aroma. Romulus. AoE Buster DPS. Attack, also pretty okay for a 3-star, not too bad. Very similar to OG Ku. Double Buster, double Quick Deck, so again the standard Lancer deck. I think works pretty well for him, honestly. I think it's fine. Gains obviously day 1, so the numbers are again very low, so they're not good. They're just not good. Again, most of these low stars you'll see, even many 4 stars, they're not that good for MP gains. Also star gain, not really worth mentioning. And he has also luckily got a fair share of buffs as well. His first skill, self debuff, offensive debuff resistance. I would really wish this was just flat out debuff resistance, but at least it scales up to 100% on a good uptime, 2-turn downtime and a 5-turn cooldown. But come on, would it be broken if you just gave him debuff res instead of offensive debuff res? 4k heal, not too bad, honestly, I suppose, and a flat 20% battery. All of this on a 5-turn cooldown. It's still an okay skill, especially for a 3-star, honestly. But man, it would be such a nice skill if it was just flat out all debuff resistance. But as is, it's still fine. Very good for 3-star standards. Then, you know, the skill I love to hate. And he also, much like Nero, has the highest rank of IP. So, again, if you land those buffs, oh baby, 44% attack and defense for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown, and also comes with a meaty heal. Like, this is EX tier. It is absolutely EX tier values and uptime. But man, it's only if you land that stuff. You have, like... But at least in the defensive IP, at least on this rank, even if you land just one of them, it's still not bad. It's still decent value for sure, because those numbers they're the real deal. They're definitely the real deal. Like, even one of those on 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown is still good. But you can also miss both of them, and then you just feel terrible. So again, the potential is EX, like the name suggests, but, you know, you might just be getting a D+. At the worst case scenario, so yikes. And then his unique 3rd skill. It's a targeted guts. Sadly, only 1 time, 1 turn in a flat 1k healing on a 7-turn cooldown. Comes with a small mana burst as well for 1 turn, 30%. I think this is too weak at this point. It's like, it has no business being a 7-turn cooldown. No shot. 5-turn would be fair already, because it's already a weaker mana burst by number, and it's a 1-time, 1-turn guts. Even 5-turn would be still average at best. 7 turns, that's too much. That's way too much. It's not that good, okay? I mean, chances are you might be using it on himself anyway. But, you know, it's nice that it's a bit more flexible with targeting, but yeah, it's pretty weak now. Magic Risby is nice. Berserker bonus is very nice. And then his MP. What can I say? Look how basic it is. Never been buffed. If you do use this on himself and you get the attack buff from IP, honestly, you can still do decent damage even without a buff on it. Sadly, the OC is a party damage. It's like a small charisma for your party after the damage for 3 turns. It's still a decent OC though, I have to say. I like the uptime. Like, not uptime, because obviously the uptime varies on how often you can MP, but I like the 3 turn, you know, effect, even if it's only 10% on base. But that's all there is. It's a weak MP no matter what. If that's all there is, no other normal effects, no damage buff, that's it. So it's still a pretty weak AoE MP in my opinion. But you know what? For a 3-star, his kid is definitely above average, I would say. He's not terrible. He honestly might even make it to B tier after all those buffs. So he's okay. He's definitely okay as an AoE DPS for a 3-star. But yeah, could use maybe one. Like, let's give him an MP buff. He could be much better if he just got a nice MP buff. So the damage buff and then a nice other normal effect. Imagine like Invul Pierce or something. Ooh, that could be cool utility. Just spitballing here though. But he's not bad. Just would like to see an MP buff if anything. Hector. There it is. Speaking of AoE Buster DPSs, here's another one. Mr. Hector. Now, his attack, a bit lower. Not that much, though, so it's still not terrible for a 3-star. Nice 6.9. Get it? The Origa is above the 5-star version. Oh, funny. His HP is actually really good, though. So that's cool, I guess. Gains, it's the same. Again, most of this stuff is pretty much interchangeable. So I can, you know, kind of skip even talking about it. But yeah, it's not good. The deck is for the standard Lancer. Can do a full Buster Chain with the MP if you get good cards. Or if you happen to be only one alive, you can guarantee it. Star Gen? No. Now, he used to have one of the worst, you know, generic skills in the game. That being Tactics on a average rank at best. Luckily, they buffed it. So now it's much less bad. So now it's a 3-turn party-wide MP damage buff. They upped the number a little bit, so now it's a nicer looking number at 20%. And then party gets also a small damage cut. Actually, not even that small. 1k is actually very decent. Sadly, it's only 2 attacks or 3 turns, whichever happens first. But honestly, for a 3-star, this is a good skill now. It's actually a good skill. And it's way more flexible, even though obviously one effect is offensive, one is defensive. You think it would be more awkward, but on a 5-turn cooldown and up to 3 turns of uptime, it's not that awkward, honestly. It's still very fine. That damage cut can actually make a difference against face cards very easily, so not bad. That is second unique skill, I guess. So it's a single target chance to drain. Every drain should be... If it's not just a flat-out guaranteed drain or normal without scaling, it should at least scale to 100%. It's so annoying. I mean, obviously some MPs cannot even scale for obvious reasons, but skills at least should scale to 100% on drain. Again, this would not be the case if he was released today. I can guarantee you that. 80% chance to drain. 80% chance to stun for 1 turn. If you do land both of those, it's still okay. Not amazing, but okay. But it's just as a skill, not that good. Why aren't they 100%? They should be 100%. It would still be fair in my opinion. And then, unlike Ku, the OG, his disengage is not that well placed here in my opinion. But and again, disengage is just not a great skill in this day and age. Just pretty weak. I don't remember if this healing is a bit higher maybe than Ku, but I like the placement on OG Ku more. This is still not that good. Magic Speed is nice. Writing B. Not as good as what was it? Did Gareth have it again? I already forgot. Who had 4 hit quicks, so for him it doesn't make that big of a difference. The MP, unlike Roma, luckily has gone through a buff, but because it's like a year 1 buff, the only thing they did was add damage. Like, that's the only thing. Like, OC untouched, this was already there. They literally only added damage. It's still not bad. I would like for the defense down to be before damage. It is 20% though, so it's not 10% for 3 turns, but it's an okay MP for sure. But yeah, it's a year 1 buff when they only buff the damage. They don't do that anymore. They always do something else besides damage. Always. Correct me if I'm wrong here. For the past year or 2, maybe even more, I think every MP buff has had more than just a damage increase. Either other values get increased as well, or just new effects are added, or both in the best case. We'll see an example of that later today, especially, so it's an okay MP. So compared to Roma, I don't know. I might want to put Hector just below him, if anything. With the buffs, I'm almost willing to place him in C+, though. Some people are saying C. But with the buffs, I feel like C+ is pretty fair. If this was unbuffed, he would certainly be lower. But with the buff to the tactics and the MP still doing decent damage, I feel like he's just below Roma. I would probably use Roma more than him if I had to pick one of them to do some AoE damage and, you know, a bit of utility as well. I would like Roma in most cases, but it's not a big difference in my opinion. Anyway, continuing the 3 stars, we have Diarmuid, Mr. Fate Zero, single target quick Lancer DPS. We're back to these, so very much like Ku, but unlike Ku's, he doesn't have the traditional Lancer deck. He has double arts, double quick, which makes his gains a bit better. Don't get fooled though, they're still not that good. Maybe a bit better. Just a bit better than the rest what we've seen so far, but don't expect miracles because you're not going to get them. Attack on the lower side, sadly. HP is fine. Star Gen, honestly, it's not terrible, especially if you land a full quick gen with the MP, but besides that, and of course he has a bit of it in his kit as well, yeah, he's not going to be making stars besides that. I have to mind true. Obviously, it's no PFA, at least a 3-hit PFA, but you know, it's a standard defensive skill. It's not bad, it's not great, it's standard, so in a lot of cases, it's gonna work. Could be better, but you know, it's still fine. Ooh, his second skill though, his unique skill, the lore, the love spot on his, you know. So they call it love spot, huh? I'm more used to the term beauty mark, if anything, or beauty spot, but you know, I guess love spot works as well. So, on a 5-turn cooldown, if you're fighting females, 50% attack down, AoE, 1 turn. I really wish that actually, if this was 3 turns, I feel like it could be really cool, honestly. Because at least then his niche would be really, you know, impactful. But the downtime is big and it only works against females. Granted, females are still very common, but it's not worth the downtime in my opinion. I don't think it would, because he's still a 3-star. They could easily make, I mean, the skill would be pretty good on 3-turn uptime, but you know, it would at least make sense lore-wise, right? Because this is his kind of, besides his weapons, this is his bread and butter, this skill right here. This is Diarmuid. Anyway, then the third skill. Well, at least the uptime is good, but yeah. Self-star gen, 50%, 3 turns, 5-turn cooldown. It's definitely below average. It's gonna help a little bit if you get that juicy quick chain or like a BQQ, but besides that, it's kind of bad. Just bad, you know? Also could use a buff. Magic Resist B is actually definitely higher than the other ones we've seen so far. Caster bonus doesn't matter, and the MP has been buffed, luckily, so... But as you can see, it's another one of these where they only buff the damage. And much like his Saber counterpart, which we saw 2 weeks ago, his buff removal is after damage. Why? At least here it makes more sense because he's like a very old servant compared to Saber. There's like 2 years in apart. I believe it's exactly 2 years or so. Maybe a bit more because they were both in the 0 events, right? Yeah, and the Curse OC is just bad. Good damage though. Honestly, a lot of people, he can still do good damage with his MP. Not as good as, let's say, Protoku, but, you know, still hits okay. I just wish the buff removal was before damage, because, you know, it definitely diminishes a lot in value if you miss the big damage from your MP hits. 2 buffs. So there's Protoku. Is he? I mean, he's quite a bit worse than Protoku in my opinion. That's the closest I can relate to. I think D is definitely way too low, but maybe a C. That is a full 2 tiers between Proto and Diarmuid. It might look a bit harsh, but honestly, I might go for it anyway. I might go for that placement anyway. He's not terrible, but in a lot of cases, you probably wouldn't really pick him compared to the options. The only reason I might consider like a D plus, D is too low though, but a D plus is because his competition is pretty big, and you probably wouldn't have that many reasons to pick him, and it's especially when the competition is also very easily obtainable, so it actually does matter a bit more here, if anything, compared to like the golden servants, unless they happen to be welfares, but I digress. Maybe I'm gonna be a bit savage here and just place him in D, because again, his skills need a lot more love. And his MP is awkward as well, while hitting decent numbers. That's kind of all he has going for it, so there you go. Just suffers a lot from competition and just bad skills. Stillbore 3 stars. Excuse the dog on the background. I can't do anything about it. Hopefully it doesn't go on for too long. Hopefully he's not loud. Taiga, speaking of animals, I guess. Yeah, Jaguar man, Jaguar Warrior, whichever term you want to use, I guess. Single target Buster DPS Lancer. Attack is a bit lost at average, but still over 7k is okay. Double Buster, the full, like the standard Lancer deck again, which I think again makes sense here. Definitely makes sense here. Gains also not good. Continues the trend. Maybe slightly better than, let's say, the coup gains, but still, yeah, not that good. Definitely not great. Stargen, not that great either, to be honest. I like the 6-hit extra, but, you know, it alone won't really do too much for either gain. It's cool, though. The skills, I love the first skill, besides one thing, and you can probably guess what the thing is. So, Self-Buster up 3 turns, 30%, that's good. That's, especially for 3-star, that's very solid. Mental debuff res though, 3 turns, 40%, that's not that crazy though. It should definitely be debuff res if it's only 40%. Evasion, 2 attacks, no, like, you know, it doesn't run out, great, love it. And a 15-star bomb, amazing skill. Except that it's a 10-turn cooldown, holy shit, dude. 10-turn cooldown. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a nice bundle of effects mostly, but 10 turns? It should be like 8 or 7 at most. What the fuck? 10 turns? If on 10 turns, it should be the best skill in the goddamn game, but it's definitely not. 10 turns, it's way too high. Man, some of these old Lancers definitely are absolutely shafted with cooldowns. Yikes. Good effects though, but in a lot of cases you're not even gonna get this more than once per battle. Okay, thanks for the 31 months. Good name, nice to see you, man. Welcome back to the Gao game. Moving on, we definitely come back at least on the cooldown timer, but you know, we also strip like a lot of the effects as well. So it's a 2-turn attack buff, 30%. That's all there is in a 5-turn cooldown. If it's a 2-turn buff with only attack buff, it should at least be 40%, maybe even 50. Then it would be a slightly better version, like of most monster strengths, but it's pretty weak, just pretty weak. If they want to keep 30%, make it 3 turns, because there's nothing else. And then another unique skill, self crit damage 3 turns, actually not bad on 50% guaranteed. That on a 6-turn cooldown is pretty bad though, but if you happen to be fighting in forest map, you get 50% star gen. Again, won't really do much of a difference, but at least the absorb for 3 turns, 600% is nice. But honestly, even if you are on a forest field, it's still like, because the star gen doesn't do much, this is still like worse than self-suggestion or whatever other names that skill has, because at least that's a 5-turn cooldown with basically 600% and a 50%er here. Because again, this is, I don't think this is worth 1 turn of cooldown, especially when both of these are requiring a specific map as well. Yeah, self-mod is another name for that, so it depends on the translation. Yeah, it's still, I think, below average, especially with the niches, definitely below average. Man, Taiga, oof, that's a rough patch. I like the synergy though, that's one thing worth mentioning. Good synergy between the effects. So there's that, but the skills themselves are not that great. Magic Rosé is nice though. Madness has many, I wish it was higher, but it's nice to have a bit of extra buster. And more tickle is always welcome from the divinity. Then the MP, sadly never been buffed, but much like Ku, does ignore evasion for 1 turn before damage. And then debuff resistance down for 3 turns on 10% base. Doesn't even help her at all, is the problem as well. She has no debuffs whatsoever. What? What is this gameplay design? What? It's a noodle. This MP tends to be a noodle. Keep in mind, she's story locked, so definitely not even a free MP5. She needs some... maybe an MP buff, maybe a buff to the first skill, but I feel like it's hard to buff this skill because they would probably have to touch the effects a little bit as well, but the cooldown needs to come down, and these are also very basic at best. And the MP is just a wet noodle a lot of the times, even with, you know, good damage from the skills. Man, I like Taiga, but man, it's... ooh. Yeah, she tends to have a rate up in, like, a lot of Valentine's banners, for instance, so it's not like she's, you know, too rare to see on banners, but maybe I'm gonna place her just above Diarmuid. I don't honestly know. Maybe just above, because I like the synergy. Her skills are still better than Diarmuid's, not by a lot because of the simplistic stuff and the big cooldown on the first one, but yeah, maybe just above Diarmuid. Definitely needs buffs as well, at least 1 or 2. Just above Diarmuid. Wow, the final final low star. Where is my dude? I'm blind. There he is. Now this is a very interesting and a very hard to rate case. We got Houzouin. Single target DPS. Mostly quick, but you know, the entire deck goes, I suppose, because he's a self-buffer, is what he is. Much like Super Orion from the Archer list. So, triple quick deck. So, breaks the usual Lancer meta deck while having an Arts MP. I feel like the deck is fine, honestly. I would maybe like to see double Buster, though, honestly, because... Or maybe make his MP Buster. It would harm the refund a little bit, whichever they would do, but it would make his damage a bit more consistent, in my opinion. But even as is, it's not terrible the way the deck is structured, I feel like. So... The attack is fairly low, though, sadly, for a 3-star, and the HP doesn't really make up for that too much either. The gains are definitely better than the previous stuff, I would say. Not crazy good, though, by any means. Don't get the wrong idea, but better than, you know, the competition, I suppose. And honestly, because of the triple quick deck, also on triple hit quick, his star gen is actually not that bad. He can actually get a decent chunk of stars going, especially with some of the stuff in his kit. So, he's an interesting case, I have to say. First skill, ignore evasion, 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. So the uptime for that niche is good, I suppose. And then there's the aforementioned, a little bit of help to the star gain. Self up for star gen, 3 turns, 30%. I feel like could be 50%, but you know, because the stuff we'll see later, I guess it makes sense. It's an okay skill. Okay, better than okay if you obviously need the niche, but besides that, it's an okay skill at best. It's like very similar to the Diarmuid one, if anything. So still not that great, but at least it makes way more sense on Houzouin's gameplay style and his deck, so slightly better, I suppose. Second skill, it's a quick mana burst that also comes with 100% mental debuff resistance for 3 turns. You don't even have to level it to get 100%, which I guess is a nice bonus. So obviously it's like a slightly better mana burst for quick. It's okay. Not bad, I suppose. It's okay, especially on 3-star standards. So if you get, like, the best case scenario for this skill is like you have an MP turn, and the next turn you have like a full quick brave chain from your deck. Ooh, that's like the dream. That is like the absolute dream, especially if you crit. Oh baby, some of the highest damage you'll ever see coming out of a 3-star servant. Definitely, the potential is pretty nuts. Not the easiest thing to do though, but obviously my man's has also some solo potential, which makes it much easier to accomplish. Third skill, I like the fact that it's a guaranteed MP seal 1 turn, you know, minus, you know, obviously resistances, but on base it's a guaranteed one, which is great. And then defense down 3 turns on a 20%. Normally 20% defense downs on 3 turns tend to be 5 turn cooldowns, but I can excuse the cooldown being 6 because, you know, MP seal 1 turn is actually a pretty okay effect against bosses, especially when it's guaranteed on base. So it's still an okay skill, I would say. Not great, but okay. Magic Resist D I wish was a bit higher, but oh well. And then the MP. Ooh, while not as crazy as, let's say, Super Orion, it's a cool MP. So 50% attack up for 3 turns already. Great start. Already, you know, makes like remember Jill Saber? Oh yeah, fun. 100% crit damage for 3 turns. Now that's what we're talking about. Ooh, beautiful. I guess instant death immune for 1 turn, pretty irrelevant in most cases, and a very sloppy 1-hit evasion. Luckily, it doesn't have an expiration though. So if you run something like taunts with him, you can actually get more value out of this by saving it a bit. But you know, pretty meh, I suppose. But you know, at least he has a little bit of defensive potential himself. And then honestly, the OC is not. It's actually good too. So, because remember, this was pretty average. This wasn't that great, but this is another Star Gen Self for 3 turns. But this is 100% on base. So again, the MP itself is actually, without a buff, is pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Even getting very close to like Super Orion levels here. It's a very good MP. Not sure. Again, I'm not sure how. Maybe it's good that it's arts, because again, it makes it so that you can keep it up a bit more consistently, but yeah. Houzouin is a really tough one to place. I'm pretty sure I must have talked about this last time as well. Okay, here's the thing. His potential is nuts, but he's not the easiest to use in a team environment, I have to say. Definitely not. And solo, he's very good when he can do it. Obviously, he's not the most tankiest or easiest to keep alive on a solo, so you gotta go real damn fast. So even the solo is not that good in my opinion. The damage on the solo is great, but you're gonna have to go real fast or you just die very fast. So I don't know. I still think I should place him below Ku Proto because I like the consistency and easier to usage here, but maybe one of the Bs still. Maybe flat B. I don't know. Again, I feel like his potential is good, but a lot of the times you're not gonna really get to the best case scenarios. Maybe just a B, honestly. Maybe. Hard one to place. Definitely one of the hardest things to place in this entire list. You'd be surprised. There's one among 4 stars as well with a very similar case, which you should be able to tell who I'm talking about, but yeah. I almost want to go down to C+. I don't know. But I'm going to leave him in B for now. Yeah. Can someone skip this? Alright, that's it for the 1 to 3 stars. We're going back to day 1. Liz, the OG. The very OG, not a welfare, not anything else. Lancer Liz, AoE, Buster, DPS. Let me get my 4-star numbers again here. So, the attack is just below average for a 4-star, but, you know, not terrible by any means. Has the standard Lancer deck, which honestly, I think she should definitely have double arts. Because she even has a nice arts passive from what I remember. Yeah, this definitely gives her gains, and the gains are not good. They're not good. Especially among 4 stars, they're actually pretty bad. Star Gen, forget about that as well. It's not happening. Brutal day 1 numbers continue. They do continue. So, not the greatest up here, honestly. Skills, though, honestly, I've seen worse. Used to have a base charisma, now has one of the better special charismas, I suppose, because the niche is actually not that rare. So, party, 20% attack up, and then female bonus attack up, another 20%. Sad, I wish it was for herself too. But yeah, if you have female allies, 40% attack up for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. It being the only effect means it's not the greatest skill there ever was, but it's not bad. It's alright, you know? Definitely one of the better buffed special charismas, I would say. For sure. Second skill used to be a base torture technique. This is what I was talking about, like the 20% on 3-turn Banes is like a 5-turn cooldown, but it was buffed, which is nice. Actually, not bad. I'm not that hyped about a skill seal, but removes one buff. I always like buff removal as utility. Sadly, it's not a full strip, obviously, but you know, even just one can be nice. Usually every buff the bosses or the enemies have tends to be pretty nasty, so removing one is also a bonus. So it's actually an okay skill now. Not bad. If this was MP seal, it would be so much better though. I really wish this was MP seal. And then her guts has not been touched yet. Honestly, if I had to guess, this might get a buff in the future, because they seem to like buffing normal guts. I think most of them might have already been buffed already. All of the normal guts is in the game. So this version is a one-time 4-turn uptime on a 7-turn cooldown. I think it could have been easily 5 on a 7-turn cooldown, because it's the only effect, but it's just average at best for like a guts effect, so it's not that great. It's okay. But honestly, her kit nowadays is definitely better than what it used to be. For nowadays on 4-star kit, it's weak, but still not bad. Magic Rosé, honestly, nice. Because, oh yeah, I should note that I'm probably not going to rate her as a farmer here. Because I think she has more potential against bosses, especially multiple bosses, obviously. Because you'd probably big single target over her otherwise. This is the reason why I would have preferred her having double art stack, because again, this doesn't really help her cause anyway. This, you know, kind of, she doesn't really have anything much to do with this stuff, because she would still keep the double buster with the double arts. Oh well. Alter ego damage, honestly, could sometimes be okay, because again, you are always, a knight class servant is always going to be at least okay as an option against alter ego if you don't have like Musashi, Kama, or a pretender, so, you know, not a completely useless append number 3. Then the MP, honestly, it's an interest. The potential of the MP is actually good. It's actually can be really good. So the usual damage buff, the OC, just forget about it. It sucks. Ignores defense, that was always there, but they added another one. This is okay. So a lot of people might think this is like buff, debuff. Res down, but it's not. This is a very rare case. It's buff success rate down on the enemies by 20% for 3 turns. So if you have good luck, your enemy's gonna whiff buffs. So again, the potential is actually kind of nuts. It's only 20% though, so it's still not gonna really help in most cases. So yeah, this means that enemies can miss their buffs. It's actually a very rare effect. Usually we get this on demerits like Lubu and Fergus having their attack defense buff gives them a chance to miss their attack buffs, for instance. It's a form of this, but this is for all buffs. So again, if you have good RNG, could be really good. And honestly, the MP doesn't do bad damage, even though she doesn't have the most buffs. But she has this and then this on 20%, so it's not bad. But honestly, I think Lancer would just be a lot better if she was single target. But let's see. I almost want to place her in like a B or maybe even a B+. Honestly, after all the buffs. Like, she's definitely not bad. Just a bit awkward in places, but... Oh, yeah, maybe I could even see a B+. The damage is not bad. I wish she was single target, but still... I like the stuff she brings. There's a lot of stuff she brings. Some not as good as the others, but kind of flexible. You probably would not run her as a solo DPS though. In a lot of cases, you maybe bring her, a full support, and then like a single target Lancer maybe. So, yeah, with all buffs, maybe like a low B+, if anything. I don't think she's bad. She's one of the best Lizzes there is, in fact. Which honestly doesn't say too much. Alright, no more day 1, at least for 4 stars. It's been a while since we had Artoria, but here we go. Lancer Artoria Alter, the 4-star version, obviously. Buster AoE DPS, much like Liz as well. And I guess I should mention here as well that I will also very much emphasize her against bosses here instead of farming. Also the standard Lancer deck. I feel like it's a little bit better here than with Liz though. It makes a bit more sense on her at least, so there you go. Gains are also not that good. If you can get like a nice Arts Overkill crit, then sure, you can maybe see some gains, but you know, that's pretty specific. Stargen, also pretty negligible. But the attack is nice. Pretty high for a 4-star. That's cool. Okay, used to have a basic mana burst. I guess slightly better because it was 55 instead of 50, but it was buffed not too long. Was this like last anniversary or something on JP? I forgot. I just remember this being like less than a year old or something maybe. So now it's a 3-time 3 turns buster up on 55% with a 20% flat battery. Yeah, honestly not too bad. Obviously, they couldn't really easily justify making just flat out 3 turns, but even on then, it's not like it's 3 times. It's still fine, honestly, for buster up. So, imagine if you land this, like the perfect case scenario is obviously a full buster brave chain with your MP. Ooh, and imagine with the second skill and the crits as well. That's like pretty damn crazy damage. Like actually better than most single targets on 4-star, I would say, in that specific scenario. So. Not a bad skill by any means. And so yeah, here's the second skill. Good absorb, decent crit damage, pretty average star bomb, bad uptime. But again, you can have that one really nice crit turn. Because with the 4-digit absorb, granted it's barely 4-digit, yeah, it's probably gonna guarantee you the stars more or less. Depending on who you're fielding her with, so it's okay. And then, there it is. Much like Saber Alter, she keeps the tradition up of having a Charisma E. Yikes. Just absolute yikes. Nice tickle, bro. Magigris B is okay. Riding A, at least she has 2 quicks, but besides that, not the best. And then the MP also has been buffed, but sadly it's not the greatest buff. It only added damage and made the OC a bit better, and the OC sucks anyway. I really wish they upped this number though. So AoE ignores defense. Good damage after the buff, even on MP1 honestly, especially with all this shit active. And I just 60% flat chance on AoE to MP seal. Again, I love MP seal as an effect against bosses, but this means you can't count on it really. So it's a nice bonus basically. It's still, obviously it's better to have it than not, don't get me wrong. In rare cases it can fuck you though. In some rare cases it could desync the MPs of the enemies if that is the thing. And in many instances of fighting more than one boss, MP sync is actually somewhat important. So it can actually be a demerit in some cases. But in most cases it's just a nice bonus to have, I suppose. And yeah, the OC sucks. Even with the buff, it sucks. But yeah, great damage. But that's all she does. Great damage. Great damage. So compared to Liz, I like the utility that Liz brings, but let's be real, Lancer Alter definitely hits more. But maybe same tier? I don't think I can still put her above Liz despite doing better damage, because I do like the utility that Liz brings way more than she does her own damage. I think the same tier is almost fair. Also, keep in mind, not that this matters too much, like I said in disclaimers, Liz is a day 1 permanent. She's story locked, so it's a bit harder to get MP levels as well. Not a big... Okay, I wouldn't be, again, emphasizing that too much. It's just something to mention, but there you go. In a lot of cases, they're interchangeable, but in, again, depends on what you need. You're gonna pick probably one over the other, but very comparable in my opinion. Ooh, here's a cool one. Where you at? Oh, there he is. I mean, a lot of people love to hate him, but let's be real, he's actually not bad. Fionn, AoE Arts DPS / Looper, honestly. I think I'm gonna place him as a farmer here, honestly. I think that's his best case scenario. You can bring him against bosses with, you know, probably decent results, but I think the best thing he shines in is AoE farming. So attack is slightly on the lower side for a 4-star, still okay. Double arch, double quick deck, so you know, not the usual Lancer deck. I like this deck because it means he can get a full arch chain. Obviously triple arch will be better, but they're not going to do that. Gains are bad. Just flat out bad. Even with the first skill active after the buff, they're bad. At least on face cards. They are bad. Stargen as well, even with the first skill active as well. Not good. So his upstairs is honestly not that great. Just not that great. So he used to have a really, really terrible first skill. Now less terrible. Actually pretty damn decent. So party-wide, 50% Star Gen 3 turns. Party-wide MP Gen, 30% 3 turns. For farming, the cooldown doesn't matter too much. But even if it did matter against bosses, it's not bad for uptime on these effects, honestly. It's still an okay skill for sure. Like above average, I would say so. Yeah, it used to be terrible. Now, actually, not bad at all. How about that? Second skill, luckily has been buffed. So like Taiga, it used to have an atrocious cooldown, reduced by 3 turns. Makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? So, chance-based evasion though. Luckily, if you do max it though, it's not chance-based anymore. So, you know, you can already eliminate that one demerit from the skill. Comes with a up to 30% battery, which again, great for farming. Very great. And, you know, a small demerit of, you know, charm resistance down against female for himself. If you run him against charm bosses, I don't really see, you know, I don't really see a reason where you would. And then a taunt, which honestly is good when you max the evasion, you know. Just either free gains or free protection for your team. So I still think this skill is not amazing by any means with the 7-turn cooldown, but it's certainly a lot better than what it used to be. It used to be a terrible skill, let's be real. Now it's okay. Third skill, 1 turn arts up. Obviously 3 turns would be preferred, but 40%, it's still below average for a mana burst, so it's but you know, it can help a little bit with your farm. Sometimes you're gonna pop it early if you need to refund more, or in a lot of cases you're just gonna pop it on turn 3 just for some added damage on the final wave. It's flexible, I guess, but you know, obviously 3 turns would be better. Magicrus B is alright. More tickles from Divinity. And the MP has also been buffed, but it's one of those buffs again where they only increase the damage. But still hits pretty hard, honestly, even without the 3rd skill active. It's not the greatest hitting MP ever, but with the buffs it's alright. Mental debuff immune self for 3 turns though. Cool, I guess. And then AoE attack down 3 turns. I believe this is like same number as MEF, for instance, so it's not that good. It's a pretty OC. Well, it's not a dot or insta-kill, so it's still better than that, but not amazing. So, against bosses, I don't think he's all that amazing. His downtime is bad, and his utility against bosses, I would say, not the best. And obviously, you'd prefer a single target in most cases anyway, but I still think he's definitely a very decent arts looper farmer. Not as good as some of the ones we'll be seeing later. Definitely not. There's going to be many better options. But he could absolutely do the job, and I almost want to place him in like B+. Maybe. Maybe even A, honestly. Because, again, it's not even that difficult to do it. God damn, the song is back. It's actually not even that difficult to do. And again, unlike his, I mean, one of the competitors does have it as well. He's permanent, which helps, because some of the options for the same type of farming are not so permanent. But, you know, there is one later, at least one, unless I'm forgetting more, that's, you know, probably going to be a better option. But maybe B+ for now. Again, when I place more of these, I don't know. You think he's great against bosses, Maui? I don't think he's particularly great. Again, him being Aoyori is kind of annoying in most bosses, and I don't think his kit is amazing against bosses. Okay, fine. A for now. A for now. A for now. Doesn't deserve all the hate he gets. That's the one thing for sure. I think most people just hate him because he happens to be in a lot of Erice and Bryn banners, right? Yeah, there you go. Now, I gotta be unbiased here, Greases. This is one of my favorite Lancers in the game. Lee Lancer. First entry of my boy. One of 2. Single target arts DPS. Fully DPS. No utility for team, whatever. Fully in DPS here. Attack, very nice for a 4-star. Not the best there ever was, but still definitely above average. Double arts, double quick. I think is fine. Maybe double buster, double arts would have been better, but that's kind of a stretch for a Lancer. They usually want to include at least double quick or double buster. But yeah, I feel like the deck is fine. I like the possibility of a full arts chain. His gains are not amazing, but definitely better than most of the stuff we've already seen in this list. So they're okay, I would say. Stargen, it's just okay. It's also not that great. It's a little bit better with his skills, but yeah, not bad, honestly, I would say. Not bad. First skill, ignore evasion 1 turn and self-crit damage by up to 100% 1 turn. 6 turn cooldown though. Yeah, that is I don't know why it's not even 5 turns. It's I mean, you can have one nice turn. You know, it tends to be the Lee thing where, you know, his highs are really high, same as Assassin, but the lows are also pretty low. Yeah, it's definitely a below average skill for sure. Second skill, his dodge, I guess 1 turn. But instead of having like a Mind's Eye True or False, he gets Star Absorb for 1 turn. Which again, pretty good combination with this and also the third skill in a second here. But again, it's always awkward when you mix the only defensive option with something like this. So, yeah, it's just okay, I would say. But yeah, a bit awkward. The third skill is actually pretty damn good now. So it's better than most mana bursts in the game, I would say. So you still get the 50% arts, bonus ignore invul for 1 turn, and the buff now includes a 15 star bomb. So again, you can have that one super juicy turn. Like the best case scenario, MP, double arts, full crits, everything up. Absolutely devastating damage, and his MP also does a crazy amount of damage. But then after that, you're gonna have to wait a bit before he gets to go again. But man, his highs are high. They're really high. This skill is alright. It's not bad, even with the downtime, because the effects are actually good. Magic Resist D is sadly very low. And then the MP. Honestly, this is one of the hardest hitting Lancer MPs in the game. Easily among 4 stars, and also can actually, you know, go against some 5-star MPs as well in damage. Ignore defense is a nice bonus, and sadly, while the other normal effect is good, very good, 30% defense now for 3 turns, that is after damage. And insta-kill obviously sucks, but man, this MP just hits hard after the buff. It just hits really hard. So he's a man of high highs and a low, you know, low lows. I have to be unbiased here, honestly. I love his damage is insane, but is it enough to justify me place him in like A? It might be, just barely. But that would be like the highest I can place him at. But his damage truly is that good. This is a hard one. I think it's one of these. It's a B+ or an A. I think it might just be B+ though, honestly. As much as I love him, it might just be B+. I feel like if I have to debate that much, I should go with the lower option. But yeah, if you want great highs, then, you know, bam, easy. And honestly, with Castoria supports, he can go a lot. At least with his MP. Maybe not so much with his crits, but with his MP, he can still... Like, I've done many challenge quests with him. Even, I think some are even on video. Like, he can still go really well. But, you know... Yeah. Could use another buff once. Like the first skill, I would say, is still very weak. This is a fun entry. Summer 1. Here we go. Go. I can't talk. I wanted to say go, then I wanted to say come, but I don't know. Whatever. Summer Kyo. Single target buster DPS Lancer. Has the standard Lancer deck. Shout out to the 6-hit busters though. Very interesting. Attack slightly a bit average. Or not, slightly below average. I am losing my ability to talk. How do I know how good unit that is? Oh, good joke. But you know, to combat the joke, I've actually had Kyo Lancer in JP for like 4 years now. So actually have played her. gains are not that good. The funny part is she's one of those rare units where you can go like ABB, Brave Chain, for some okay gains, because the Buster does have 6 hits on it. There's not a whole lot of units like this in the game, and they mostly tend to be older ones. But yeah, I guess that's something worth mentioning. Still, overall gains are not good. Stargen might be just worth mentioning, barely, just because, again, the high hit on the Buster and the extra. So, besides that, not really all that great. First skill, honestly, I don't think is that bad. AoE crit chance down 3 turns, 30%. Good uptime, 5 turn cooldown. That's the only effect, but I'm a pretty big fan of crit chance down, and she's definitely against bosses, so it's an alright skill in my opinion. I like the uptime on a pretty good effect, and you know, a basic buff for herself. It's better than a mana burst, I suppose. 3 turn Buster up 30%, 5 turn again, another decent uptime, but I don't think this isn't necessarily as good as the first skill, but you know, some damage. And then in most cases probably a worse version of torture technique. The trade-off is both are defense down 3 turns and a 5 turn cooldown. This one goes up to 30% though instead of 20, but ooh, the merit, 20% attack up for 3 turns. I don't feel like that 10% defense down up is worthy of this demerit, honestly, unless you're bringing like a lot of debuff strip as well, or buff strip as well. Yeah, it's I feel like this demerit can actually end up being quite nasty. Some bosses, if you give them this buff, they're gonna wreck you even harder. So yeah, combo her with Paris for whatever reason, the Lancer Archer duo. Madness Enhancement EX is very nice though. That is a top passive. Let's go. Magic Gear's D is very low, sadly. Berserker bonus, love it, very good. The MP, obviously being a summer servant, you not really buffed or anything. I mean, you're basically guaranteed a skill seal at least, but you know, it's skill seal, so again, you know my opinion about it, it's not that good, and burn obviously sucks. And with just the MP itself won't really do that much damage, and keep in mind she's also limited, and you know, also one of the rarest 4-stars in the game probably. Kiyohime Lancer, still not terrible, but just so basic, and you know, I don't think her downtime, I mean, at least the downtime isn't massive, but it's not like the uptime is crazy good either. I think I would place her below Lee though, despite having an you know, better uptime. I don't think the uptime is that good though, is the problem, you know. I would probably place her below Lee, one of these two. Oh, in case you're wondering why the oof text is there, it's just a joke Jax made, because she's basically the only servant I'm missing on NA. That means that I might never be able to complete my servant collection. Fun. So there you go. Not bad, but just, I think just above average here. I think B is fair. Maybe some people would even place her in C+ for like around average, but I think her kit is just okay enough to be here. Right. Is this the first welfare? Maybe. I'm losing it. Santa Jolter, Santa Lily. I said Santa twice. I don't know. Fuck. The full name is so wacky. There you go. Jolter Lily. Let's call her that. AoE Buster DPS with some team utility as well. Attack is about average for a 4-star, maybe slightly less. Full on standard Lancer deck. Gains are bad. Definitely bad. Stargen, also not really worth mentioning. So, not the greatest start here, I would say. Skills though, you know, a lot of these Santas tend to have this, some version of this skill. Targeted heal, up to 3k, and the target also gets 30% star gen, 30% 3 turns, 5 turn cooldown. It's pretty meh, not gonna lie. It's also it's not even that good for herself, so yeah, that was yeah, I mean, you're probably gonna run a second DPS with her anyway, so maybe you want to try someone who actually has good star gen as a Lancer. with her, maybe, to get most out of this, if you're gonna do that. Second skill, flat 20% self battery and debuff res 50%, up to 50%, 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. It's okay. Also, I should mention I'm probably gonna rate her against bosses here, honestly. You could obviously farm with her. Sure, you could. I don't think she's particularly great against bosses or in farming, but I think maybe a bit more merit against bosses. Even then, not the greatest. And then the third skill, which is the same skills that Jolter has, right? Is this even a higher rank? That would be ironic. Maybe they both have EX, I forgot. But so it's like a better mana burst. 55% buster up 1 turn, invul 1 turn, and then the demerit honestly isn't that bad. 1200 damage. It does hit, but it's not the worst, I would say. There's way worse demerits out there, and you know she even has a heal on her own kit, so you could kind of counteract with that too, I suppose. And the MP, I believe, also heals, right? It is very awkward though, with your biggest damage being tied to your biggest survival, so yeah, but at least it's still better than a mana burst without, you know, our arguments. I guess the cooldown is 1 higher though, but I still think it's better even with the demerit. Not an amazing skill though. Magic Rosé is nice against bosses. Avenger bonus, funny. Not really that relevant though. Then the MP. Alright, it doesn't heal, it's healing up. Okay, so on free MP 5 as she is, she does okay damage actually. Not bad. Debuff resistance down on enemy 10% 1 turn is like one of the weakest normal effects I've ever seen. It won't really do much at all. Party attack 1 turn 10%. It's after damage, and it's 1 turn, meaning that you're only gonna gain this for 2 other cards, 3 other cards if you're using her own Brave Chain. It's so weird and awkward. Like, unless you're chaining MPs, it's not really gonna do much, and even then it's a small buff. And then I guess healing up 1 turn as well, 20%. So unless you have like healing per turn, you're gonna miss this too. Kind of weird. Doesn't really do much either. So even though it has like 3 effects that are not garbage, the numbers make them pretty bad, I would say. And the way they work, like after damage and only 1 turn. But at least decent damage on the free MP5, I would say. Just, I think she's definitely one of the weakest welfares in the game though. Definitely. C? C flat? Some people saying C plus. I think D is way too low. At least a flat D though. She's definitely one of the weakest welfares though. I think I honestly might just go with a flat C here. I like that. Decent MP damage. A bit of utility, but that's pretty much it. Ooh, another cool one. I like this guy a lot. Also could use a buff in my opinion. Vlad EXTRA. 4-star Lancer. Single target buster DPS and a bit of tanking as well. A bit. But definitely DPS over tank here. Attack a bit lower than average, but honestly, his HP is really high though. So that's cool, considering, you know, he has a bit of tanking as well, so it's not that bad, I suppose. Standard Lancer deck, I think, is okay in this case. Not too bad. Gains are, they're not as bad as some of the other ones, but still pretty weak, I would say, in most cases. Not that great. Stargen, honestly, can be okay, but also not great. I think archers just did a lot better in terms of like just numbers than lancers on overall, I would say. Doesn't help that at least in my opinion, the standard Lancer deck tends to be fairly awkward in my opinion. Skills. Oh, it's the same skill as Gramps. I love this skill. It's very cool. So, up to 100% debuff res for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. That's already a great start. A nice 2500 heal if needed, which again you're probably gonna get when you first use this. The heal might get wasted, chances are, but since it's only a 5-turn cooldown and he's definitely against bosses, you're probably gonna get this again, so the heal actually might be very relevant later. Defense up 1 turn 40%, which again is even better here because he has a taunt, so not bad. And then attack up 20% 3 turns. Again, it's just a very, very great skill. Just super solid. I like all the effects. Good uptime. Very great. Sadly, he still has normal tactics. This is easily the worst part about him. Easily. It's not even close. Just sucks. Just a flat out normal tactics on rank B. Oh god, yikes, dude, yikes. That just sucks. Give us like Dracula tactics or something. I don't care. This needs a buff. Third skill, there's the taunt, 1 turn. And up to 10 stars per turn for 3 turns on a 5 turn cooldown. It's okay, I would say. Not great, but okay. Also, it is slightly better now that you have this as well with the heal, the debuff res, and the defense. Again, another reminder that if you have a taunt, if an enemy uses a single target debuff, unless it's specifically coded to do something, it will actually go on the taunt as well. So again, synergy is nice. His kit overall, despite having a shitty tactics, is still fine, I would say. Not bad at all. Magic C, I wish it was a little bit higher, but oh well, could be worse. The MP sadly has never seen a damage buff, but ignore invul, always like that as a normal effect. It's always a great one to have because it obviously also goes through evasion. His niche honestly isn't that bad either. Evil alignment is actually fairly common among bosses, I would say, more often than not. So yeah, not too bad of a niche. There's a lot of anti-evil servants, and yeah, they tend to be one of the better niches in the game. Even if you're not fighting evil, his MP is still fine. His damage is not bad. But he's obviously not going to hit as hard as many of the other Lancers here. But I feel like he's just like a good all-rounder. I would like to see maybe an MP buff, but even more so a tactics buff. And then he honestly might be a lot more better, but even then... Now, I guess the Kyo Lancer is a good comparison here. Which one do I like more? Vlad or Kyo Lancer? I think I like Vlad more than Kyo Lancer. I think. I think I like him more than Kyo Lancer. Yeah. I think he's a bit more consistent. I like his what he brings to the table more than what Kyo does. If he gets like a tactics buff, he's definitely A. And if it's a really good buff, who knows? The sky's the limit, right? But yeah. And yeah, also Vlad is permanent versus Kyo being one of the rarest 4 stars in the game. Again, not a big deal, but something worth mentioning, I suppose. There you go. We got Ana, not the caster, but you know, Medusa Lily next. Single target, a quick DPS. Attack very low though for a 3-star. That sucks. That's annoying. I guess the trade-off is high HP, but yeah, you definitely prefer the other way around in this case. Doesn't have the standard Lancer deck. Has double quick, double arts. I guess that's fine. Honestly, triple quick would have been even preferable, but again, with a quick MP, I doubt that was ever gonna happen. Gains also not that good, honestly, because the number of... I mean, despite having 2 4-hitter arts cards, the actual MP gain number kind of makes up for that and, you know, making it a bit more balanced. So, her gains are still not that good, I have to say. Like, most Lancers, honestly, don't even have that good gains, like unlike, let's say, Archers. So, it's just this a thing. It is what it is. Stargen, honestly, is not terrible, but also not great. But better than a lot of these, especially if you land that nice quick chain with the MP. Overall, not the most impressive stuff here. Used to have a very, very weak charm. Now a bit less weak. So, the cooldown came down 1 turn, love it. It's still only against males though, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but at least it now scales up to 100%, which used to be 90, which was the dumbest thing ever. And now, honestly, the other effect is really nice. Quick res down for 3 turns, 20%. That's not bad. This is actually one of the better charms in the game on skills, I would say. I would prefer it if it was against like humanoid or any target, but you know, male is still somewhat common, so it's actually not bad on a 6-turn cooldown, I would say. Again, even if you don't land the charm, at least it has this as another effect. So it's not there's no chance where it's going to always be like useless, which I like. I don't like skills that can sometimes just be flat out useless, you know? So this fixes that. Attack up 1 turn, 30%. 5 turn cooldown. Weak. It's terrible. That should be at least 50. Weak. Self guts 1 time, 3 turns. 7 turn cooldown, bad uptime. And also, I guess the other you know, thing is effect is defensive as well, but it's a 1 hit invul. Upside is it doesn't have a duration though, but yeah, this should be 6 turns or lower on cooldown in my opinion. I don't think it's worth 7 turns. Yeah. So her I think her kit overall is still kind of on the weaker side, even with the charm buff. Magic Risby is nice. This is really nice. I always love Goddess Assistance. Again, not so much for the Divinity flat damage increase, but the debuff is 25%. This means she always, at least on base, quick maths, 42.5% debuff res. Now that is nice to have. Permanent. Another Avenger buff, because those are clearly not common enough. MP luckily also has been buffed. And because the first skill wasn't enough, now this one also reduces quick resist. It's the same effect, 20%, 3 turns. Good, very good. Also does good damage now. I hate the fact that the stun is on 80% base though, but honestly the MP is still pretty decent now. Very good damage on the MP. I wish this was obviously before damage though, but you know, it's 3 turns, so chances are you can at least maybe get a second MP off if you have good chains following up this. I still think she could use a buff. On the, at least on this. So her damage is good. Her downtime is pretty bad. Like, I guess do we have any other quicks so far? Not really, right? No, she's the first one. But I think she's somewhat comparable to Lee. But honestly, I'm not sure if I like her more than Lee or anything like that. I don't think I do. Yeah. I might just be sticking with B here, honestly. Obviously, it's not the most fairest comparison because one is arts and one is quick, but still. Yeah. Could use a buff still. But can do decent damage for sure. Don't discount that. Oh boy. Oh boy. Raikou Lancer, another summer servant. Single target buster DPS with also some utility as well, worth mentioning. Attack, just under average, but over 9k is nice, regardless. Standard Lancer deck once again, but considering she has a pretty good focus on crits as well, I think it's fine. Gains are not as bad again, but definitely not amazing either. We're still yet to see like a really true amazing Lancer gains. We'll see some later, but for now, no amazing gains to be seen yet. But could be worse. Stargen, honestly, okay, it's also okay. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Not too bad, I would say. Just, it's alright. The skills, though, I think this is where she kind of shines the best, if anything. Overall, pretty good synergy. So, the first skill. Self-absorb up. 4 digits, 1k, up 2. And crit damage. I don't see a reason why this doesn't go to 100% because it's 1 turn, but oh well. At least, again, much like Lee, for instance, you can have that nice turn, which is pretty consistent. Big uptime or downtime, though. This is a very nice skill. Targeted buster up 3 turns, 40%. Comes with a nice cleanse as well as a bonus. 6 turn cooldown is not too bad, I would say, because it is targeted and comes with some bonus utility. So it's honestly... it's alright. A lot of people have like esports summer Raikous as well. This is one of the reasons, I suppose. So there you go. It's alright. You know, it's a better charisma. What can I say? party, 20% attack up 3 turns, and the other effect honestly is not bad. 30% star gen 3 turns. Applies to herself as well, unlike a lot of these different versions of like charismas where the second effect might not apply to the caster, but this definitely does. And even star gen herself is actually not too bad. But it's still not amazing. It's just a better charisma. Let's not get crazy, okay? Magic C would have been nice higher. Riding A+. Not bad, I guess. Something. This is even better, honestly, even though the number is smaller because she's more buster focused. More tickle. But honestly, for a 4-star, these are some nice passives. Berserker damage bonus, love it. And then the MP. Despite obviously not having a buff, it's actually not bad. Ignores defense on a normal effect and a flat 20 star bomb on use from OC. Not bad. Not bad. Basic but decent. She's just like a fairly consistent buster / crit DPS who can also work as like a small support too, honestly. I feel like she might just go above Lee and Vlad here. Just above them, I feel like. I don't think I can place her in A+. Maybe someone could, and I wouldn't be too mad about it, but I feel like in this day and age, she's still like a flat, solid A for what she does. You can't really go wrong with her, but yeah, not the greatest options these days anymore, I would say. Just solid. What's the cooldown on the crit skill? 5 turns. So again, the uptime is not that great. Right. Here's an interesting one. Parvati. AoE quick DPS Lancer. Now, here's... I have to make a decision here. I guess, honestly, I could rate her both as a farmer and a DPS for bosses, honestly. I think she's decent enough at both, honestly. Yeah, I shouldn't discount either of those. Okay, one thing I have to mention though. Attack sucks. That's really low. That's really low for a 4-star. A bit unfortunate. So for farming, that sucks. But for bosses, at least sometimes the HP can help. But still, you'd obviously prefer higher attack on a DPS. Because she's not even tanking anything. Standard Lancer deck. Can do a full quick chain with the MP, I suppose. Gains are... Now we're starting to get a bit better gains, at least. Still not crazy good gains, but definitely better gains than what we've used to seeing so far. And honestly, her star gen is also way better than most of the stuff we've seen so far, so not too bad. Besides the attack being pretty low, I feel like she's otherwise doing okay, you know? Skills, there's some good stuff here. Self quick up 3 turns, 30%, and MP gain 30%, 5 turn cooldown. Great skill. Very basic, but I love the numbers, I love the effects, and good uptime. Just a very solid skill. In fact, it's easily her best skill as well. Not even close. Second skill. So this is basically a mana burst on steroids, so, you know, interesting. Self-attack outfit, like, just, okay, contrast here. Medusa Lily, 5 turn cooldown, 1 turn attack up, 30%. The first thing here alone already does it better. And then there's 3 other things. Contrast. Also defense up 50%. So again, if you time this correctly, I mean, you're probably going to use it for the attack buff. So in some cases, this might not be that relevant. But you have the option of maybe timing this well to maybe even tank an MP in some cases. But again, most cases, you're just going to be using it for this. And this is a bonus. Star Gen, 100% 1 turn. This is huge with the MP. Huge, especially if you have a follow-up Brave Chain. Absolutely massive. And then a debuff res. Also 100% for 1 turn. So again, for that 1 turn, you're like a god or a goddess in this case. An absolute goddess. Really insane buffs. But yeah, the downtime is... But honestly, because of 4 really good effects for her, I feel like it's still a good skill. Even with the 4 turn, like a 20% uptime, let's say. So, because the effects are just that nice. Third skill. Now, you do have to have at least 10% gauge on her to use it, because using it does drain 10%. But when you use it, it's a targeted skill. You can target herself as well. If you level it up, you get 20%. So if you use this on herself, you get 10% MP gauge is how it works basically, because you pay 10. But if you use it on an ally, they get 20. Net 20, that is. And also heals the target by 3k. All this on a 5-turn cooldown makes it an okay skill in my opinion. Very similar to the Jalter Lily skill we saw earlier, if anything. So, yeah, very similar. These are, I mean, overall her kit is actually just very solid, what could I say? For both farming and bosses. Magic Crusade is very solid. And then there's that lovely passive again. Much like Medusa Lily, also a 42.5% base debuff res permanent. Cool. Alter Ego buff, again, for every knight class, it's actually definitely usable. Very cool. The MP, no buff, but it's a good damage, honestly, considering the buffs. When you have them up, a nice 10% party battery based on the OC. I like that. Very nice to have. And what I don't like is the RNG on the AoE charm though. But at least it's a charm that can work against everyone, so that's cool. It doesn't have to be like a male or anything. So it's just a nice bonus. But because of the RNG, you can't rely on this for anything like stopping an MP, because you might just get destroyed. But you know, bonus normal effect is a bonus. So despite not being buffed, I still think it's a good MP overall. Parvati is still pretty solid in this day and age. I think the only thing she kind of suffers from is just a pretty low attack for a 4-star. But besides that, just pretty damn solid, honestly. Loops pretty well with Scotty, as most people know. And also pretty good against bosses. I feel like this is an A+. I feel like this is an A+. Some people are saying A, maybe. But I kind of like A+. She's just very solid. You can't really go wrong with Parvati in a lot of cases. I've used her in many challenge quests as well, especially on Guildfest. She was really good in many Guildfest ones. So, really solid. Not EX though, for sure. Nezha. Here we go. Next one. AoE Buster DPS. Now, I guess you could farm with her as well, I suppose, but I will rate her solely kind of as a boss DPS here, most likely. Attack, around average for a 4-star, not too bad. Gains are much like Parvati, on the better side for sure. We're starting to see finally some better numbers for MP gain. Similar case with the star generation, while not having as crazy potential for star gain as Parvati, you know, still pretty okay overall, I would say. So again, not too bad. First skill, pretty good. Quick and buster up self, 20%, 3 turns, and crit damage 30%, 3 turns, 5-turn cooldown. The numbers are clearly gimped a little because it's 3 FX with good uptime. So even with the slightly lower numbers, good skill, I would say. I need to hydrate a little bit. I think we're actually making okay pace here. Yummy. So yeah, good start. Much like Parvati. I still think I like Parvati's skill a little bit more. But this is also nice. Second skill, self-guts, 1 time, 5 turns, 7-turn cooldown. So the uptime is alright, I would say. Not too bad. 20% battery up to, I suppose is okay. It's an okay gut. It's better than a basic guts, that's for sure. So, you know, it's alright. And another one of these 1-turn, 5-turn cooldown effects. So, self-absorb up. It's only 500% though on a 1-turn uptime though. That's weird. I think it should be 1k. I'm not sure why it's only 500. Like, even a 600 is kind of standard. That's a weird number here. Does come with a cleanse though for self, which is, I guess, cool. But yeah, this is a weak skill for sure. Definitely very weak, I would say. Just weak. Kind of combos with the first skill, but she doesn't even really have any ways of making her own stars besides a bit of generation, so you're gonna have to run some help for the crits as well alongside her. Bring a Merlin, bring a Hans, bring whatever. Magic Rosé is nice. Caster bonus is irrelevant. MP has been buffed, which is very nice, because it honestly, it kind of used to be a noodle in my opinion. It didn't do that much damage, even with the OC. So the OC is actually pretty good. MP damage, space 20% for 1 turn, B4 damage. So honestly, that's actually not bad. The burn on the normal effect, it really doesn't do anything. Unless, because it's a 5-turn uptime, if you run like Honey Lake with her, then it's actually fine. But again, the burn is after the damage. So the first time you MP, unless you also have command codes on your cards, you're not going to be getting that damage bonus. But it does make, I guess, Honey Lake a bit more viable as an option if you land that CE. But yeah, now the damage is not so much of a noodle anymore. It's still not the greatest. We've already seen several servants that have higher hitting MPs here for AoEs, but yeah, it's not bad. I think she's just alright, you know? Maybe I'll place her in the same tier as Liz and Lancer Alter, though. Somewhere around this. I don't think higher. Not higher, at least. Definitely not higher. But it's either B plus or B for Nezha. That's what I need to decide on. A lot of people saying B. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the Bs for sure. She's still okay all around. Just could use another buff, in my opinion. I feel like it's close enough to what Liz and Lancer Alter bring to the table. So I can probably keep her here as well. Maybe a bit on the lower side on B+, but, you know, I think this is still fair with the MP buff. There you go. More AoE. We got Valkyrie. AoE quick DPS slash farmer. So pretty much the same scenario here as Parvati. Although I have to say, I don't think their DPS potential is as good as Parvati's, though. I think they're definitely more focused on farming than what Parvati, since Parvati's both. Now, even worse than Parvati, their attack is even lower. That is definitely on the low side of 4-star attacks, and it shows. If you've ever used like a low MP Valk, you know what I'm talking about. It's don't expect a lot of damage. Also, like Parvati, the standard Lancer deck. Gain's not as good though, but not bad by any means compared to most of the stuff we already saw. But you know, it doesn't take much to topple the day 1 stuff. Stargen also, it's alright. Pretty much similar to most of the other stuff here. But yeah, that attack is, 8k. Ooh, it's so much lower than average. So, a very similar first skill to Parvati. So, also self-quick up 3 turns on a 30%. This one on 6-turn cooldown as well, right? Pretty much it was the same thing, right? But unlike, instead of Parvati, who has MP gain, they have MP damage, 20% 3 turns. Now, honestly, it might be easy enough to make them loop anyway, that it's better that it's MP damage instead of gain. But depending on the gain number, they might have had better DPS options, which again, in turn, may have been a better damage increase, but I digress. I guess it's alright, you know? I guess it's alright. Oh, Parvati was 5 turn. Yeah, okay. So it's definitely worse then. Yeah. I wasn't sure. I already forgot. But yeah, the Parvati skill is really good. This is still fine. Second skill. Definitely defensive across the board. Evasion for 1 attack, 3 turns. Weak. Debuff immune, 1 time, 3 turns. It's a bit more flexible, but still not the greatest. And a damage cut, 1k, 3 attacks, 3 turns. This is probably the best effect you have here. Unless, I mean, you might be able to evade 1 MP with this, but besides that, one thing I do like, they're all defensive skills, so it's not awkward at all. So it's easy to use this skill whenever you need to and still get value out of everything it offers to you. So, 6-turn cooldown, though, I still think is a bit heavy. I think this could easily be justified to be a 5-turn cooldown, but it's not bad, I think. Because I do like the synergy. And 1k damage cut, 3 attack, 3 turns is still alright. Still alright. Then the third skill, which actually enables some stuff. MP regen. Every turn you get up to 10% for 3 turns. Every turn you get 1k HP for 3 turns. And 10 stars. Cooldown is massive though. This is also why they are not that good against bosses in my opinion. Because this skill has a massive downtime. And the effects are not even that insane in my opinion. So, yeah. But for farming, it's obviously the cooldown tends to be pretty irrelevant. God, my voice is already dying. That's not good. So I don't think their kit is as good as Parvati, but it's still alright. Alright overall. Magic Resist B, again for farming, not that good, obviously. But you could run them against bosses, but if you have Parvati, you would probably rather use Parvati. Divinity A for some tickling. Rider is irrelevant here. Ignore evasion, 1 turn before damage. Nice utility, I guess. And insta-kill. And not just any insta-kill. Against Demonic. Yikes. Terrible. Terrible. And yeah, because it hasn't been buffed, their damage tends to be definitely on the bottom side of all the 4-star AoE Lancers. But they're still able to farm. But at MP1, they can't even farm everything. But luckily, they are permanent. So if you can get some MP levels, you can still get some pretty okay farm going with them. But MP1 is really hard to do, honestly, I have to say. So if Parvati's A+, they're definitely A or B+. But not on the same tier by any means. I'm not sure... Because again... maybe I could justify A if they had like an MP buff, but I feel like MP1 is just so weak in my opinion. Like sometimes it's not even a problem if they will loop or not. It might be a problem just for flat out damage, you know? So I feel like they're all like just a full tier down Parvati, honestly. It does help that they're permanent, yes, but the requirement being like MP2 or higher is kind of annoying in my opinion. Also, Hikikomori, thanks for the full year of resubs. That was a while ago, but I just saw it. Welcome back to the Go Gang. Much appreciated. So yeah, I mean, they're still viable, of course, but I feel like most people would just run Parvati if they have the options for both bosses and looping. Another summer unit, Ibaraki Lancer. Single target buster DPS, attack slightly below average, standard Lancer deck. I think is actually good here in this case. Gains on base, not good, but her kit can actually make her gains pretty nice. Like actually very considerable, but on base they're not that good. They're just okay at best. Stargen also has good potential. Base is not bad, but with the skills it's, you know, can be actually very, very decent. And the LMP helps a lot by giving you stars, right? So honestly, this is not the greatest upstairs, but her kit definitely makes all of this better, I would say. Speaking of the kit, yeah, party attack up, own MP damage up, own MP generation up, all on 3 turns, 6 turn cooldown. It's pretty good. Pretty good. This helps a lot with her gains, needless to say. Very nice. I like it. Second skill. It's just a slightly better version of disengage in most cases, I would say, because the difference is like, you know, I prefer max HP up than a heal in most cases. Obviously it can be like removed, but the difference is you can use it on full HP and still get value out of it, where if you use a heal on full HP you get no value. So in most cases I do prefer max HP up than healing. So it's a disengage with max HP instead of healing. Otherwise it's the same. So it's still meh in my opinion. Still meh, but slightly better. Just slightly. Then the third skill. It's one of these 1-turn crit skills, but at least it's on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, you do flip a coin. You either get debuff resistance 30% for 1 turn, or you get debuff resistance down 30% for 1 turn. In either case, it's not going to make a big difference. So, if anything, it's just a slightly better version of all these 1-turn crit skills than we've seen. Because this is kind of irrelevant, whichever you land, the merit or the demerit. So, it's still not an amazing skill, but it's ever so slightly better than most of these 1-turn crit skills. So overall, her kit it's okay, I would say. It's alright. Nothing crazy, but there's a bit of synergy as well. It's okay. Magic Resist C could be higher. Madness Enhancement D is a great passive for her. Sadly low rank, but it's still good. Berserker bonus is amazing. Ignores defense on MP. Very nice. I guess there is this. This can actually be very annoying though, because normally her Stargen is actually not that bad, but this can actually make it a bit worse. So you will get a 50% star gen down on yourself for 3 turns. So again, it can be a bit annoying. The OC is really just, so of all the Starbomb ones, this might be the best there is, or at least tied. I don't remember who else has this high, if anyone. But yeah, a base 30 bomb on OC for stars. So yeah. In ideal scenario, if she's your only DPS, you're gonna card count a bit. So hopefully the next turn you'll have her cards as well. So you can make use of those juicy stars. Yeah, I think the most comparable servant she's got is Summer Raikou, right? They're very comparable, I would say. Now, one of the thing is the MP doesn't actually hit super hard, though. But it's not bad. If anything, it's nice to keep the train going of, the crits. So, I think she's just below her, though. I think I slightly prefer Summer Raikou. But Summer Ibaraki is still very fine as a single target Lancer DPS. But I think Raikou is just a bit better. They're very similar, though. Very, very similar. So I think B+ is very fair for the Summer Banana. I'm not even really going to think about that too much. Here's the other tough case. Oh my god, I don't know. This is even harder than Houzouin. We got Liangyu. This is a tough one. So we got a single target DPS with another buff MP, an arts one like Houzouin. Not the same deck though. Houzouin had a triple quick. She has double quick, double arts. So again, not a traditional Lancer deck by any means. Her gains might be slightly better than Houzouin's though, I suppose. Especially with the skills, so I guess there's that. Attack sucks though. Again, one of those lower attacks. Much like Houzouin had a low attack for a 3-star, she has a low attack for a 4-star. I guess they don't want these buffers to be too OP. Stargen, it's okay, I guess. Not as good as Houzouin though, but okay. Then the skills. The first skill is actually really nice. It's even better than like Nezha had, because the cooldown is lower. So on 5-turn cooldown, you get 3 turns, quick up, arts up, crit damage, 20, 20, 30. Solid. Just good offensive skill, I would say. Pretty solid. Yeah. Second skill, there's another one of these crit skills. So absorb for 1 time, or 1 turn. They're pretty standard, 600%. Debuff immune 3 times 3 turns is honestly not that bad on a 5-turn cooldown. I like the utility. And then also, she has the nice, buff of buff removal resistance. 3 times 3 turns, up to 100%. So, if anything, this skill is way better defensive than offensive. But luckily, because of the uptime being so good on the defensive stuff, you can absolutely pop this whenever you need the absorb anyway. So, there you go. Actually not bad. I actually think buff removal resistance on a DPS is very valuable. It's easier if you don't have to bring it outside. Obviously, you don't always need it. Clearly not. But sometimes you do. So it's nice to have, I suppose. Very nice. It's a very strong one too at 3 times 3 turns and a 5-turn cooldown. That's definitely on top side of buff removal resistances. She has a guts. Massive turn of 8, or massive cooldown of 8, but luckily it is a 2-time guts, 3-turn uptime though, so in a lot of cases you might not even get those 2 guts honestly, because of the uptime being only 3 turns. But, it's not impossible by any means, and then like some others has a 20% MP battery. So you definitely need to time this really well to get the most use out of this. But I guess it's maybe still slightly better than a standard guts because of the battery, even though the cooldown is longer, and because it's a 2-time guts. Magic C is the only passive, kind of sad, and I wish it was a bit higher. Another Berserker bonus is always nice, and then the MP. Oh, that's a novel and a half. So first of all, the easy one. You just get 50% attack up herself for 3 turns. Same as Houzouin, right? Seems to be a very standard for a lot of this stuff, so that's good. It's actually good. And now you get some other stuff. So when you attack, you debuff the enemy, 10% defense down for 3 turns, up to 3 times, or until 5 turns is over. Also a similar effect, you remove buffs when attacking. This is actually potentially really strong. That's a lot of buff cleansing, okay? That's a lot of buff cleansing. Also, we have the opposite. So when you get attacked by up to 3 times in the span of 5 turns, the attacker gets 10% crit chance down. Can be okay in some cases, but she doesn't really have a taunt, so this is mostly best value in solos, I suppose. And then the OC as well, another similar defensive one. So when you get attacked by up to 3 times in the span of 5 turns, your entire party heals for base 2k. Yeah, it's okay. I think I prefer Houzouin style a bit more. This is definitely a bit more niche focused and, you know, situational. But, you know, it still comes with a nice attack buff. I don't know, though. I feel like Houzouin still has a bigger damage potential, honestly. All things considered. She has a bit more better survivability, if anything, a bit. But even then, it's not like she's a solo goddess or anything. I know she can, so I've seen some videos as well, but... And also on team environment, much like Houzouin, doesn't really shine that well, honestly, in my opinion. Just, again, she's just so hard to place, some of these self-buffers. I mean, some of them are easy because they're, you know, great regardless, but, yeah, I don't know. She might just be the same tier as of the 4 stars. Where like Houzouin is the hero on 3 stars, she's here on 4 stars. Like you can still do work with her, but I feel like even if you hit like good, like top potential with her, she's still not gonna be like ridiculous or anything like that. But there is the utility is nice and there is some decent potential, but just above average, I would say. Just above average. I could, yeah, again, maybe some people will place the buffers a bit lower. I can see that, but I will give points for the potential as well. Because it's not the craziest, like the hardest thing to accomplish. Another welfare. Definitely a better one than Jaguar Lily for sure. Kagetora. Single target arts DPS Lancer. High attack. That's very nice. Not 10k high, but, you know, still pretty high. Definitely pretty far from a traditional Lancer deck. Double Buster, double Arts. I actually like because she has crit potential and she can do a full Arts chain with this with the MP. Gains are actually pretty alright. Yeah, not bad at all. Stargen also okay, I guess. Not great, but okay. So you know what? Upstairs is actually pretty good. Not bad. Skills. I guess she trades a bit of the 1-turn arts buff to get some absorb for that 1 turn as well. I'm not gonna lie, it's still a pretty weak skill because the downtime is massive. But you know what? At least her kit still has synergy, so it's not as bad, I suppose. But yeah, it's not the greatest thing ever. Like, for instance, Lee's 3rd skill is like so much better than what this is, especially after the buff. But still, it's okay. 2nd skill. Her version of 1-turn evasion, but she has a better version because this is a 5-turn cooldown instead of the standard 6 for a 1-turn evasion, so that's cool. Slightly awkward with MP gain as the other effect for 1 turn, so you know, sometimes you might want this gain on a nice chain, but you know, you would obviously have to use your evasion then. But it's still definitely a slightly better than average defensive option, I would say. Not too bad. 3rd skill, that's a lot of stuff. Party attack up, party crit damage, and party star gen. All on 20% though, on 6-turn cooldown. So, it's also okay, I would say. Not too bad. Yeah, overall I get her, it's like average to slightly higher than average. And there is some synergy as well, so which makes it even slightly better, I suppose. Much better than Jaguar Lilies though. Magic Receipt is a bit low, but not bad. Riding C. I mean, she does have a 5-hitter quick, even though there's only 1, but still, yeah, okay. More Tickle from Divinity, and then the MP. Free MP5 is nice, meaning the damage is actually pretty solid. Crit chance down, 20%, 3 turns. I like that. I always like that on like a boss killer. So that's a very nice OC to have. Now, this is not as bad even if it's after damage because it's only for offensive buff. So this would not remove invuls anyway or anything like that. So it's a nice normal effect to have, I suppose. It doesn't matter if it's after damage pretty much in this case. So great MP, I would say. Pretty great MP. Just overall pretty solid, I would say. Now, some people will place her in EX. I won't. I will not place her in EX. But she's still very, very solid. Okay. But I could not place her in EX. But still, definitely a very strong welfare among all of them. So, there you go. Alright, another fan favorite, isn't it? Melt Lancer. Another summer unit. Oh boy. AoE arts. DPS / farmer, but probably more... definitely more of a farmer than DPS, I would say. Attack is around average, if not slightly less than average, but not too bad. Definitely higher than Fionn's, who's pretty much the prime comparison here, I suppose. Double arts, double quick is okay for the deck. Gains are also pretty okay. Star Gen, also not bad, so... yeah, not bad. Her first skill is very cool, I have to say. It's a very rare... it's a self-looping skill. Or lapping, I should say. It's like the uptime is literally more than 100%. Like, this is so rare, dude. It's a 5-turn self-arts up. Obviously, it's only 20% because the uptime is so crazy. On a 4-turn cooldown. So, if you actually don't 3-turn farm and you actually use against bosses, in the 5th turn, you can actually have this up a second time. It's so weird, but obviously it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, it's a great thing. But, I mean, for farming, you'd prefer a higher arts number for 3 turns, obviously. But still, it's a very cool skill, I would say. Second skill, self-invul 1 turn. Buff removal resistance 1 turn. Not as good as, like, who was the one I just placed that had the better one? Oh, yeah, Qin Liangyu. Because I would prefer 3 removals on 3 turns, obviously. But, you know, at least it prevents this invul from being removed. And also, you get Waterside Field for 3 turns, which will come into play in a second here, because she gains a bit of bonus there. Not bad, I suppose. I think it's a better than normal, an average invul skill. It's still the standard 6-turn cooldown, but I like the fact that it basically cannot be removed, so it's added protection if you need it. Obviously, for farming, you don't need this, but yeah. If you are not farming, then you might need it. Then the third skill. You have to be careful with this sometimes, because it does drain your allies. So it drains your allies by up to 30% and gives her the same amount. So if I remember correctly how the skill works, you can get... this is an up to 60% battery for herself, right? Yeah. So if you drain from 2 allies, you get 30 plus 30. So there you go. A pretty good battery on a 5-turn cooldown. So that's actually kind of nuts when you think about it. If you have the, you know, resource to drain from. But, you know, chances are you're going to be running her with Castoria. So just pressing 1 Castoria skill 1, that's already 30% team batteries. So, you know, not the hardest thing to accomplish, I suppose. Also, self-absorb up 1 turn and self-attack up 1 turn. And this one actually goes up to 50%. So this is actually a good skill, I would say. Actually a good skill. Obviously against bosses it might be awkward if you have to drain your allies, but besides that, yeah, actually pretty good. Magic B, Riding C, it's alright, I guess. She actually does have independent action. She's the first Lancer to actually have this, and even on EX, so I guess if you do want to run her as a DPS, the Absorb has a bit more value here with some permanent crit damage. Debuff resistance here, 20% from the Goddess's Core up to 37.5, not bad at all. Caster bonus is kind of relevant. And then the MP. So if you are on Waterside, which you do get from the second skill, you do remove evasion from enemies. So it's like a really weird way to, you know, have like a sure hit, I suppose. A really weird way to do that. Also ignores defense. And a pretty decent chunk of 20 star zone base from the OC. Now, on MP1 base though, she's not going to be doing the most damage though, and she is limited, so... But easy loops, I guess. Definitely quite effortless to do it. Still not as good as someone we'll see a bit later, but, you know. A lot of people are saying same tier as Fionn. I'm almost tempted to do that. Almost. She's definitely at least here. Maybe A+, but honestly, I think I could maybe place them in the same tier. Maybe. Because they're basically kind of interchangeable, I think, honestly. I've used both on JP in looping. Like, there's not really much of a difference, honestly. Like, she has a slightly easier time of getting gains from looping. But I think Fionn just might have a slightly better damage. Well, if they're the same MP level, you might pick Melt, but, you know, he's also permanent. She's way better. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. I might disagree on that. Yeah, I think I want to keep them in the same tier, honestly. I think I want to keep them in the same tier. If anything, this is a part where people will be leaving angry comments on, seeing these two placements or something. Yeah. I mean, if you want to place your an A+, go ahead. But I honestly kind of just want to place them in the same tier. So again, if I get some hate comments for this, so be it. But you know, yeah. I want to place them in the same tier. It is what it is. Alright, we got some JP stuff now. Caenis. AoE Buster DPS, and I think she will definitely be rated as a DPS rather than a farmer. Yeah, definitely. Nice high attack at nearly 9.9k. That's very cool. How about that? Double Buster, double quick. The standard Lancer deck is back. I think actually is fine with her, I suppose. No worries, because she also has some crits. Gains, not terrible. Not as good as some of the previous ones, but definitely a bit more modern, so not as bad as you might used to be seeing in some of the older ones. And Stargen also pretty much the standard as well. Not too bad. Skills. I mean, it's not, the first skill is not amazing, but it's still better than what Medusa Lily has by quite a bit. Not only is the number higher, and it's also 2 turns, so still a fairly average to weak skill, but you know, we've seen worse already. She has seen a buff, luckily. So the second skill is really... I actually have to remind myself of what this does. So when you attack, you inflict... Oh, right, it was the attack down 10% 1 turn on enemy. I wish it was 3 turns, honestly. I'm not sure why it's 1 turn. It's kind of annoying, if anything. Yeah. But you also get stars per turn, which is a lot. Like, I think they added that, which is crazy. You think this would be a buffed number, right? It's ridiculous that this came out of nowhere. 15 stars per turn for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown and a 20% battery. And does she have this as well? Oh, I guess she has this too. It's not mentioned here, is it? Is this like an error? It's not mentioned here that she also has the attack buff. But yeah, dude, this is a really ridiculous skill. It's actually a ridiculous skill. What the hell? An absolute EX tier of a skill. Oh, right, there it is. Oh, yeah, it's not like an immediate buff. You get it also on attacking, but before damage. So, yeah, it's still, yeah, it's basically the same thing. Good. I'm blind, yes, that's nothing new. Dude, this is a ridiculous skill. Let's be real. An absolutely ridiculous skill now, after the buff. Third skill, her version of Guts, I guess. 1 time, 3 turns, 6 turn cooldown. Not on the better side, but... 3k damage cut, 3 attacks, 3 turns. That is meaty. She will not be hurt by face cards when this is active. Not. You will not touch her, okay? She's like, don't touch me, get away. That is a massive damage cut. Obviously, MP is still probably gonna fuck her up, but yeah. Face cards? Nah. They're not gonna work. So, definitely a better than average cut skill, for sure. Honestly, her kit, I mean, minus the first skill. Dude, this is nuts. I can't get over how good the second skill is. It's ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Okay, Magic Receipt is alright. Madness and Hazmat EX is very nice. And then she has the unique version of Divinity, which also increases her arts performance, which again is very negligible, only having 1 arts card. But you know, a bonus is a bonus. Ruler damage. No thanks. Right, the MP, before damage. I guess this is pretty irrelevant because the MP cannot crit anyway, but you know, it happens before damage anyway. Self-crit damage up 50% 3 turns. Now there's the crit damage. That makes the second skill even better. Very good normal effect, very strong. And then the OC also is not bad. I wish the number was higher for the MP damage and it was maybe 1 turn for the effect. I feel like it would be better than 3 turns on 10% base. But you know, it's not a curse. It's not instant kill, so it's still a decent OC, I would say. But if anything, this is the real highlight. This normal effect is really good. That is solid. Caenis. Looking pretty good after this buff. This skill is so good. So good. Wow. 5 turn cooldown. Wow. Now I regret not having used her that much. Probably at least A+, honestly. I'm not sure if I can place her in EX, but man, she's just damn solid now, huh? I don't think I can place her in EX, though. But that buff is huge. Huge. And again, this is rating her not as a farmer, but against bosses. If she was a single target, she might be EX, honestly. If she was single target, I feel like. I think that's the only thing that's holding her back right now. She could even receive another buff in the future, which might also make her EX despite having AoE MP, but... Oh yeah, she is story-locked. I guess I could have mentioned that, but yes, she is story-locked, yes. So there you go. Solid, solid, solid. And if... honestly, again, I could maybe understand if someone wants to place her in EX, but I'm not gonna do that. Now, another welfare, and this is kind of a tragic one in my opinion. Erice, that is. Oof. Okay, so... AoE Artoria Lancer. But sadly, in case you didn't know what she does, you might be thinking different. I will not be rating her as a farmer here, because I can't. You'll see why in a second if you don't know why. It's a tragedy. So she's a DPS, I guess. So here we go. Attack slightly below average. Whatever. Double arts, double quick is okay for her kit, I feel like. Yeah, no, not bad. Gains are honestly not bad either. They're actually okay. And Star Gen also is fine. So upstairs, not much wrong, I guess. And the skills are not pretty good skill. Self arts up 30% 3 turns. And evasion for 2 attacks 3 turns, 6 turn cooldown. A bit awkward with these combo, but still. A pretty good skill, I would say. Especially for a welfare. So that's cool. Ignore evasion for 1 turn and star absorb for 1 turn. At least it's a 4 turn cooldown instead of 5, but still very average at best, I would say. Third skill. Instant kill success rate up 3 turns. Miss me. Crit damage 30%, 3 turns. Not the greatest, but this third effect is actually really good. Servant, yeah, you read that right. Just flat out servant damage for 3 turns. It's only 30%, but you know, because it's so easy to do, it's still a nice buff to have. 6 turn cooldown ain't too bad, I suppose, because this is actually a nice buff. So yeah, honestly, her kit is still fine. Is not bad. But you might get a hint from this as to why I cannot rate her as a farmer. She has a special version of her magic res, I guess, which gives more debuff resistance against undead, which, you know, pretty not relevant, because undead, it's not that common anyway. Riding C+ is actually not bad with double 4 hit quick. Independent action B is also useful with the star absorb. Is she the second one so far to have this on Lancers, I think? Divinity E is not really going to make much of a difference. And then the MP. AoE damage, free MP5. Sadly, defensive buff removal after damage. That's really awkward, but here's the problem. This is why she cannot farm. Her instant kill check is before damage. Why? It's one of these cases again. It's not the last one we're going to be seeing in these lists, but I think this might be the first one. Potentially is completely killed right there. Just like that. You cannot do it. It's going to be inconsistent. It's sadly going to be inconsistent. Even if the chances are low on base, it's not going to work, because a lot of enemies are going to be bronze in farm anyway. It's still enough to kill bronze somewhat consistently. So sad! Why is it before damage? So sad. So she's not a farmer. Sad. And that makes this even more awkward, because, you know, you might need this on versus bosses, and it's after damage. It's the Diarmuid thing again. Erice, why are you so tragic? I don't know what to do with her, honestly. She's definitely better than Jailter, that's for sure. Maybe still a B, because her kid is not bad. C plus B. But, yeah, yeah. Sad. Just sad. Potentially, she could have been so much more. Oh well. But still can do work. Definitely still better than Jailter. Oh, would you look at that? It's the last row. And we're almost done with 4 stars as well. Another welfare immediately. This was the year of the Lancer welfares. I remember this. 2 welfares back to back being Lancers. We got Summer Guchan. Consort Yu, if you will. Single target quick, right? If I remember my Guchan correctly, yes. DPS. Standard Lancer deck actually is good here, I would say. Attack, very nicely high. Much like Kagetora, pretty much the similar number. That's cool. Gains are just okay, I would say. Not too bad, not too great. Star gain is also fine. It's actually maybe more noteworthy than the MP gain itself. So not too bad. Also, she's hot. But that we won't be taking account into the rating. Self Guts, 1 time, 5 turns on a 6 turn cooldown. I like that. And 5k on that Guts. That is, for a Guts effect, that's already very, very solid, right? Yeah. Also, self MP gain. Flat 20%, 3 turns. I like that. I like that. And then the other effects only happen if you're on certain fields. Most likely, you're hardly ever going to get both of these in the same time. You could, but you're hardly not. But if you do, each of them are also worth another 20% MP gain. So if by some miracle you're on a field that has both of these, you can get 60% MP gain for 3 turns. That's sexy. That's sexy. But keep in mind, in a lot of cases, you're only going to get one of them. But honestly, Sunlight, for instance, isn't super rare. Water Side, I feel like, is a bit more rare than Sunlight. But, you know, even like this, it's still a fine gut skill, I would say. It's still a fine gut skill. It's not like it, you know, it's a make or break depending on if you get the other buffs or not. Do beach stages count as both? Yes, they do. Also, who requested Rush? This is a... Who has good taste? Duty, nice. Good taste. YouTube is going to be confused because you won't hear the songs. Right, second skill. Another one of these. A lot of welfares have these, like single target batteries for 20%. But this one also has a taunt, which honestly, I kind of like the utility. So chances are you might not use this on herself, honestly. You might use this on someone else. But you might want the battery on herself. Interesting. But, you know, targeted taunt is actually sometimes very nice to have. It's okay. And then, very Parvati-esque here. Maybe not as good, but man, it's nice. 20% quick up self 3 turns and party crit damage 50%. That's AoE, so okay, not bad. 5 turn cooldown. Another just pretty solid skill, huh? Yeah, very nice. Oh, was the taunt self? You're right. Oh shit, you're right. Okay, never mind. My bad. Thank you for correcting. Yeah, it is actually herself. So you know what? Then you can absolutely target it for herself easily as well, because you're gonna get the taunt anyway. So there you go. I suppose. Magic Gris B is all right. Guess the bonus is whatever. So the MP, not the greatest MP ever though, but free MP5 is nice. Dots suck, but if you fight males, it slaps really, really, really hard. If you don't, it's alright still. It's definitely an alright damaging MP with the free MP5 and her having some damage here as well and a high attack. So yeah, a lot of people always make a lot of comparisons between her and like Tamamo Lancer, right, for the obvious reasons. And yeah, I feel like she's actually a legit contender even as a 4-star welfare, which is kind of sad. Now, I can also compare her to Kagetora, I suppose. She's definitely one of the A's. I could probably put her in the same tier, honestly. They're mostly interchangeable, I think. Yeah. Both are great welfares, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Like, even if you don't fight males, she still slaps. For sure. Still slaps. Against males, she might be like EX, but, you know, I'm not really gonna consider that too much. And there you go. Summer Guchan. Another solid welfare. What if Rasputin is a dot support? Would it be interesting? Make sense lore-wise? I don't know, man. Right, the final 4-star, and man, it's a good one. Ooh, it's a good one. Percival, AoE, arts, DPS, and especially farmer extraordinaire. Also a bit of a tank. Okay, I have to say I did some labbing yesterday as well, because I did not use him that much before that, but yeah, he is kind of nuts. So attack is just slightly under average, but still good, I would say. Double arts, double buster. Cool deck, honestly. I think it works for him. Maybe quick double arts would be better, but even so, I like the double arts. Gains are good, even better, you know, with some modifications here, but yeah, still good. Stargen also not as good as some of the other ones, but you know, can get some stars, I suppose. Let's start with the skills. Self arts up 30%, 3/3. Battery self 20%. Party MP damage 3 turns, 20% of the 6-turn cooldown. That is nice. That is nice. Good synergy. I like it. Very nice. Second skill, self taunt 3 turns. So there you go. There's a very viable tank for you. Also, MP gain when taking damage for 3 turns. All of this on a 5-turn cooldown. That is very good uptime for a taunt. Like top tier uptime for a taunt in the game. So that's cool. If you want to use him as a tank, by all means. And then of course, to make him a bit tankier with the thing, you have a 1-turn invul and a heal as well, which is also targeted, by the way, but you know, chances are you're going to use it on himself because he's going to be taunting a lot anyway, in case you need this, which is again non-farm, but still very viable. Magic's B++, interesting rank, but yeah, it's pretty okay. Writing C+ is kind of irrelevant, honestly. And then the MP. Oh, it's a good one. Ignores invul for 1 turn before damage. MP damage for 1 turn before damage at 20% base. Pretty good. And then the lowest HP ally gets 3000 healing. Which, again, chances are it's him, because he's going to be tanking a bit. Yeah, pretty good MP, I would say. Pretty good. Pretty damn good. Now, I will probably mostly rate him as a farmer, but again, he can be a tank / DPS for bosses as well. But there it is. There's the second EX. There it is. There it is. In case you don't believe me, just wait until you try him out. One of the best damn loopers in the game. It's ridiculous. Okay, to put it into contrast here, you can run Black Grail with him with the completely free choice of Mystic Code. That's like the best case scenario. Is stupid. His refund is ridiculous. Okay, I didn't even show this, but yeah, his MP is also 4 hits with this MP gain. You know he's gonna refund like crazy. You know he's gonna refund, and he does. It's ridiculous. He just goes boop, 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 boop. He's a machine that never ends, right? He's story locked or not. No, that's the best part. He's permanent. Is so nice. Mance is permanent, and he's a top tier 4-star in the game. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Just an absolute top tier looper. Sorry, Melt and Fionn, but here's the new Overlord. Just effortless. And also a great tank. Alright, here we are. Again, not a whole lot of SSRs in this list either, but we made it. We made it to the SSRs. Gonna start with, actually Lancer doesn't even have any day ones. I guess Archer didn't either, now that I think about it, but, ooh, a fan favorite, huh? Shisho. I definitely have some mixed opinions about her. Let me grab my 5-star stats here. So attack is literally just under average. That's a start. Single target quick DPS, by the way, with the standard Lancer deck. Now, if anyone's ever used Shisho, you know her gains are dog shit. Sorry, excuse my language. They're just bottom of the bottom tier. Even more sad because she's an SSR. Terrible. Stargen also not great, but with like a double buster with, you know, like a BBQ maybe, QBB, I guess maybe even in this case, you can actually generate a decent chunk of stars, but you know, the MP gain alone is just bad. It's sad, it's sad, it's sad. Skills. First skill, her 1-turn evasion. It's already good that it's a 5-turn cooldown though, which already makes it a better than average 1-turn evasion in my opinion. Show us the bunny suit, okay. There you go, take a screenshot. But then, this is not as bad as it used to be anymore, but there are 2 RNG effects here. One of them, self-crit damage, 3 turns, 50%, and the absorb. So there's a lot of skills that have these on guarantees, right? But luckily, nowadays, there are ways to play around this, so it's not as bad. So let's see what I mean here, because this skill was buffed, which is great. So it's still the same old single target, quick up for 1 turn targeted. 50%, so it's a targeted mana burst, but now the target also gets buff success rate up 20%, and it's not even 40%, right? It's 20% because they clearly want you to use it on herself, meaning you can guarantee these buffs. So that's cool. And also comes with a 20% battery, which she desperately needs in my opinion because her gains are so bad. So that's a good buff, I would say. Kind of, you know, helps 2 of her biggest problems, the RNG buff and her bad gains. Then the third skill, I like the anti-divine, not that rare. I hate the anti-undead, that sucks, that's very rare. And that's the only thing you have here. But, you know, this is what she's known for. She's like one of the hardest hitting single target lancers in the game, especially when you get these, the divine, and maybe even by some miracle the undead working. So yeah, that's Shisho. Just biggest damage potential, but besides that, downtime not that great. Also has crit potential too. I have to know. Crit potential is there too. Magic Crusade is nice. And then the MP also has been buffed. But again, it's an old buff, so they didn't do much. But honestly, it's pretty good regardless, because the stun is basically guaranteed, which I really like. That's cool. So unless they're immune to stuns or some shit, it's definitely gonna land. I like a guaranteed stun against bosses. Damage even on MP1 after the buff is pretty damn good, even without the anti-divine and anti-undead. Obviously insta-kill sucks, but yeah, I like the guaranteed stun is very, very nice. Very cool. So yeah, she's definitely just for big damage bursts. After the buffs, where would I place her? A, probably? I think she's still fine. Still fine. With the 2 buffs, making the RNG less RNG-y and, you know, helps with her gains as well. Yeah, I feel like A is pretty fair. She's still solid. She's always kind of gonna be solid, but she's never gonna be like super broken or anything, I feel like, unless they do a crazy buff, which I can't really see happening. But there you go. I think Shisho is just a good old reliable, I suppose. A+ for the costume. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Another year, I guess not year 1, because originally they were released in New Year's, right? So I guess the start of year 2. Karina, AoE Buster DPS / Farmer. I guess he could be Farmer too, but honestly, I think I want to prefer the DPS side here for sure. But you know, not the worst Farmer there is, but compared to some of the ones we're about to see, doesn't really compare that well. Ari's here, yeah, I figured. Attack is nice though, nearing 12k. I like to see that. Standard Lancer deck. Gains are not bad, not great, but not bad. Star Gen, it's okay. So overall, I kind of like it. I think the deck is good because he has some crit potential too, so it's not bad. I think it's very fair. The first skill. Your enemy, unless they're immune to debuffs, will definitely get a debuff rest down by 50% for 1 turn. And then he MP seals them for 1 turn. So this is like the most guaranteed MP seal you can have in the game. Because this 50% debuff rest down, I believe, helps with this as well. Definitely so. In case you really want like a super easy to land MP seal, he's your guy. But a 6-turn cooldown though, that's too much. That's too much. Just for an MP seal. I mean, I guess you can maybe combo this. Let's say a boss has like a stacking debuff resistance, this could be useful, but it's only 1 turn anyway. It should be like 5. They should buff this to be 5 turns and maybe add another normal effect to be like a modern, nice SSR skill. At least it's not skill seal. Alright, again, he has one of these flame mana bursts as well, like Arjuna. I kinda just barely prefer this to normal mana burst. Obviously, they still top to 50% as well on the same cooldown, but mixed damage, in my opinion, is always better than, you know, non-mixed, because, you know, they multiply. So it's just a bit, it's ever so slightly better than a normal mana burst, but still kinda eh. And then, oh, much like Arjuna, the very awkward flat 25% battery. I mean, on paper, if FGO didn't work the way it did, you know, a fourth of an MP gauge, that sounds good, right? But when you realize the way the game works with the CEs and the skills and everything, how gauge gain works, 25% is suddenly not that ideal anymore and can lead to some awkward situations. That's why they've never done it afterwards, I believe. I think everybody else has always been like 20 or 30. Are they like the only ones that have 25% batteries where you can't even like help it at all because it's a flat number? I wouldn't be surprised, but whatever. Star generation self 50%. It's alright, I guess, and 40% crit damage. 3 turns, 6 turn cooldown. It's still an okay skill for sure, actually, for like DPSing. Just, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of the awkward battery, but you know, it's there. Magic C could be maybe a bit higher riding, eh? It's alright. Divinity A also a bit more tickle, and then the MP used to not be that great, and now it's it hits pretty hard, I'm not gonna lie. Sadly, the Buster is down for 3 turns, 20%. It's after damage. It's the same problem with Yvonne as well, right? And Okitalter, and maybe someone else too. It's obviously a nice effect, don't get me wrong, especially when you get like a full Buster Brave chain with the MP. It's really nice to have. And the OC remains the same. But honestly, again, Divine Niche, not bad. One of the more common ones on bosses. So, yeah, not bad. And on base, even on MP1 with the buff, and with this active, and with his high attack, he actually does a really good chunk of MP damage. He really does. But again, he's in an awkward position where I feel like I'm going to rate him as a boss killer instead of a farmer more. You can, again, you can farm him with absolutely, but I don't think there's way better options here we're going to see very soon, if anything. Yeah, if he was single target, he would probably just be better, if anything. I think I used to rate him like A, but I'm not sure if I can do it anymore, honestly. I feel like he's just starting to show more and more age at this point. As much as I like him, I don't know. I just feel like at this point he's just like we get so many more options that seem more and more desirable, you know? I mean, the one good thing he has is that he's permanent, right? That helps a bit, because a lot of the other options are not. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, could use more buffs. I think, I mean, again, maybe some people place here, and I probably placed him here myself some like a year or two ago as well, but I don't know, he just starts to feel a bit worse to me when time goes on. He still hasn't got any other buff besides that MP buff, which was like 3 to 4 years ago. What's up with that? Arjuna had a buff like a year ago or something. Rip. Bryn. Ooh, single target, Buster DPS, and a bit of good utility as well, I suppose. Attack around average or so for an SSR. Standard Lancer deck, I think, is fine here, honestly. Much like with Karna, it's okay. Gains are, they're okay, but not great. They're just okay, I would say. Stargen can be decent with some help from the skills, right? Wait, she didn't have Stargen. No, she at least the MP did, right? Yes, yes. I remember now. Yeah, but on base, not that great. So pretty average, I would say here. Also like Karna, Mana Burst Flame. Sadly, a lower rank though, does not total to 50 right now, so it's even worse. This is just a weak skill. But hey. Sometimes the MP hits hard, I guess. Second skill. I really like it. So, self-battery, 30%. One enemy, 50% crit chance down for 3 turns. Half uptime. MP damage, 1 turn. That doesn't really matter to him. But man, I like this effect a lot. That is a lot of crit chance down. On a very decent uptime. And the battery is also nice. So, yeah. I like this skill. And again, if you time it well, you can even get some usage out of the MP damage down as well. But most of the time, you're just going to pop it immediately for the battery and the crit chance down. So, but, you know, nice skill. And the third skill is also really nice. So it's a targeted one. And it gives the target 3000% absorb for 3 turns. So every star you get is going to go to the target. It's nice that it's targeted, right? Because you can kind of decide that. Yeah, it's definitely Sigurd. This is meant for Sigurd, clearly, because he's lacking absorb. You know what I just realized? They probably... Oh my, I'm so mad because Sigurd needs more love. They totally didn't include absorb in his kit because they wanted people to pair them, dude. Oh my god, I'm pretty mad. I'm pretty fucking mad. Because, you know, it's a good comp lore-wise and it's cute, but it's not very practical, is it? Because you're pairing a Saber and a Lancer. Dude, I'm pretty mad. This is totally meant for Sigurd, first and foremost. They didn't include it because of this. That he's lacking the absorb. Whatever. Anyway, great skill. And also the target gets 40% crit damage 3 turns and a nice 3k heal. All on a 5-turn cooldown. Great, great, great. Even if this wasn't targeted, it would still be a great skill because she could absolutely use this herself. But making it targeted is even way nicer. So, actually a very strong skill. Yeah, the skill is obviously Gold Heroes Bridesmaid. I mean, from the get-go, I mean, this was always... Before Sigurd was even released, this was clearly meant to be a reference to him. But I'm saying they probably designed Sigurd the way he is because Brynn had this skill, right? Annoying. Magic Gris B is nice. Writing A is alright. And Divinity E more tickle. And then the MP. You know what? This is actually funny because actually if you do pair her with Sigurd... You're probably going to be fighting Lancers, which she will be neutral in, but her third append is actually against Lancers. So, you know, it's not the most useless append, maybe, if you pair her with Sigurd for that use, I suppose. So, interesting to think about, I suppose. And then the MP, which is actually not bad. So, good damage after the buff. Party Stargen 50% 3 turns. Actually a pretty good normal effect. I like the very nice duration and a pretty good number. And then obviously her own niche is the Brynhild's Beloved. So let's very briefly look at this list for a second. Because it's actually not super rare. It's actually worse traits. Ah, here we go. There we go. Like, look. That's a lot of stuff. It's mostly males. I think there's a few female, like some females as well. But it's like a lot of males mostly. Actually a pretty good niche, I would say. And if you see, that's a lot of archers. That's a lot of archers. So, yeah. Not bad. Not bad. Very cool. Brynn is definitely not bad. They could buff the first skill though still. I guess a good comparison is Shisho because they're both SSRs. I think Brynn should be higher if anything. Some might say they're the same, but I don't know. I mean, sure, Shisho might have like a slightly higher damage potential, but I kind of almost like what she brings into the table. But I can't place her lower than Shisho at least. That's not happening. She's definitely not lower than Shisho, I'll tell you that much. I guess Brynn is lacking a hard survival skill though. That can be annoying sometimes. Yeah, I think A might be fine then. They're here for different reasons though. And in a lot of cases, I think I would still prefer Brynn over Shisho. But yeah. But I'm not gonna place her below Shisho. That would be a crime, okay? That would be a crime. There you go. Different stuff, I suppose. Back to AoE. We got Lancer Artoria. Now this is a cool one nowadays. So AoE buster DPS, but definitely more so of a farmer. Because if you remember the way Artoria works on Saber, right? It kind of translates pretty well here as well. I'm not gonna lie. Translates pretty well here too. Alright, there's your FA. Don't be so hunky. Attack slightly on the lower side, but not terrible by any means. Standard Lancer deck. I would honestly probably prefer a double arts, double buster instead of double quick, but oh well. Gains are just okay, not great, not bad. Stargen isn't honestly not that good. She used to have a shitty mana burst, now has a slightly better one. It's still not the greatest of all the mana burst buffs, but it's something. So it's still a 1 turn 50% buster up, but 2 separate, so they don't have to be both chaotic and evil, separate modifiers for both chaotic and evil. I mean, a lot of the times they are together, but luckily this makes it more flexible by giving them both their own modifiers. So, you know, again, more damage potential, I guess. Still not the best buff to a mana burst I've seen. Not by any means. Charisma B, hey, it's not E, but you know, still meh. And then the 50% battery, which I guess comes with a cleanse as well, and a 6-turn cooldown. 6-turn cooldown being a magic number and buster looping, ding 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 ding. So she can do it fairly easily. Even easier once we get to the MP, I guess. Magic Resp is okay, not for farming though. This is okay as well with the double quick on 3 hits. Ruler buff, no thanks. Ignore Invul 1 turn before damage is always nice to have. Honestly, in very rare cases, it could be even good for farming. And then, yes, much like Artoria, she's got the refund, okay? Very nice. Very, very nice. The MP itself, sadly, is still not buffed, so the damage isn't massive, even with, I mean, because this is only 1 turn as well, and this is kind of all she has for, like, 3-turn uptime. So the MP itself still doesn't hit super hard, right? So now it comes to hard parts, right? Because she's definitely a fairly easy buster looper, right? A fairly easy one. But I feel like her damage is still not the craziest. Although, obviously, with buster loop, you get a lot of damage as well from the supports. I mean, there are, you know, there's gonna be some other stuff here too, but maybe A+? Am I high overhyping the buster loop here? Definitely at least an A, honestly, in this day and age. Definitely at least A. Because maybe because of the other options, she's not that high. Maybe. Because she's also not permanent. She's also story locked. Yeah. I mean, she's still a great option, though, for buster looping. Even better if you have, like, higher than MP1. But honestly, again, the buster supports just give you a lot of damage anyway. Oh yeah, if you max her append, she can actually get like a full charge. She can even loop with Koyandi since they give double OC, right? Yeah, true. That is something worth mentioning, right? Yeah, the OC buff. Damn. Yeah, that's nice. I still might put her in A though. Yeah. Because mostly because of other options that we're gonna see soon. But yeah, good one. Much better than what she used to be nowadays. Here we go. Remember Summer Guchan? Here we got the 5-star version. Maybe not the most reflected in the actual kit though. Now, I admit, in the past, I have kind of overhyped Tammy Lancer a bit. I still think she's definitely fine and very viable, but maybe I was a bit overhypey on her. But here we go. Single target buster DPS. Attack also a bit on the lower side for a 5-star. Standard Lancer deck I think is fine here. Double arts would be cool because she has an arts passive as well, but besides that, not bad. And her gains are, if anyone's ever used her, unlike, this is what the one thing I always liked her over, let's say, Shisho. Her gains are actually very solid to this day and age still. And her star gen also is not bad, especially with some of the buffs active. So yeah, she's one of these cases where she's like super basic, but numbers kind of carry her a bit. Better charisma over here, if you're running males, I guess. They get a bit of star gen. Not the best, not the worst, just eh. Single target charm. 1 turn. Guaranteed on base, which is nice. Any enemy works. 30% defense down for 3 turns, I like that. Curse. Miss me. There is a demerit though, it ticks them up by 1, but obviously you can use this when they're about to MP to get max value out of this. 7-turn cooldown is hard to justify though, even if it's a guaranteed stun on base against any enemy. I feel like this should be a 6-turn cooldown. Because you mostly are going to use it against the full MP bar anyway, so you're going to be wasting some of the turns of the cooldown. Unless the enemy like fully charges themselves on turn 1 or something. Yeah, you're going to be wasting a bit of the potential value. It's alright. Definitely alright, because the demerit you can play around even if it comes with a small cost. And then the third skill is interesting. So it's a self-invul 1 turn and a 6-turn cooldown, it's the base, but then you get all this other shit. 50% crit damage, 50% star gen, 50% MP gain, which is ridiculous, 50% MP or debuff resistance, MP resistance, that would be cool, and 50% healing, which honestly on her own kit doesn't really do much. Some other servants that have this skill actually use this as well, but her she doesn't really. And after one turn you will stun yourself, but luckily in the age of command codes, it's easier to play around this, so this can actually be a ridiculously strong skill, but a lot of the times it's just all right. But the merit, at least you can play around it, which is good. Yeah, the mirror CC, that gives you like a one-time stun immune for 2 turns, I believe. That's the one. Riding A is nice with these nice 4-hitter quicks. Territory creation A. Again, this is why double arts might have been better than double buster. And Divinity A++ support tickle. Berserker is very nice for the bonus on append 3. And then the MP. I really wish it had at least another normal effect, because it's literally is just flat unbuffed damage, and OC is extra mail. Again, the niche is fine. It's not that hard to do, but yeah. Now, a lot of people know one of the big problems she has is, again, numbers are pretty good. Her gains are good. Her kit is honestly not that bad either. But the one thing she kind of suffers in is her damage is pretty low. Especially noticeable when you're not fighting males. Just, yeah, pretty low. And arguably, you know, a welfare does the exact same job better, which is, it hurts, I'm not gonna lie, it definitely hurts. I think I'm gonna place her in B+. I think I used to place her in A, maybe even years ago in A+, if I remember correctly, but I think I'm sliding down to B+ now, under Bryn and under Shisho. Just because her numbers are still nice, but besides that, her damage is kind of lackluster. Yeah. Damn. Still very usable though. Karna is much more usable than Tama. Yeah, but he has an AoE MP. And his gains are not as good. I feel like this is fair. Anyway, that's where I'm gonna place Tammy Lancer. Ooh, we got some good ones coming up. Also some not good ones, but you know, or not amazing. Ooh-wee, where is he? There he is. Mr. Clay. Enkidu. The Change of Heaven. Single target, a Buster, a DPS Lancer. Attack, definitely also on the lower side, but still not terrible. Now he has a really weird deck of triple quick with the Buster MP. It's interesting. I really wish he had the standard Lancer deck. It would be so much better, because then he could do a full Buster chain as well. But I digress. It is what it is. His gains are okay as well. They're not amazing. If you do crit with like his one arts card though, that's where the real gains are at. That's where the real gains are at. But honestly, there's only one of them. So it's like the Erice case all over again. Not as crazy as Erice though, but still a very strong arts card is what he has. Stargen, honestly, pretty good. With 3 4-hitter quicks and a 6-hitter extra for a Lancer, actually pretty good. So yeah, not bad. Skills, so he just has a slightly better mana burst is what it is. You get the normal mana burst of 50% buster for 1 turn and a 5-turn cooldown, but then you flip a coin, you also get 1 turn quick for the same amount, or or arts. So yeah, sometimes you want one or the other more than the other, let's just say that. Hey Braindead, thanks for gifting us up, man, much appreciated. So it's still not an amazing skill, don't get me wrong, it's not an amazing skill. Second skill used to be still pretty good, honestly. Now even better. Like, much like Bryn, 50% crit chance down 3 turns, and even better uptime on 5 turns. Like, it's also a 1-turn evasion on 5 turns, which is also better on average. And, you know, as a bonus, if an enemy has evade, it's gone. Bye-bye. Like, just those 2 first effects are really, really good. Ooh, if anything, I think this is his best skill. Easily. Easily. A lot of people overhype the heal and whatnot. This is his best skill. By a mile. By a mile. It's such a good defensive skill. Such a good one. Third skill is interesting though. Comes with a full cleanse of own debuffs and then up to a 10k heal. I really wish the heal was like 5k and the cooldown was lower, honestly, because a lot of cases this is overkill anyway. But yeah, chances are you maybe can use this twice in one battle though. So yeah, and obviously with the heal being so nice, like JM said in chat, if you do run like the Tamamo healing up CC with him, this is going to be a 15k heal. But again, a lot of the times 10k is more than enough anyway. So it's alright. It's an alright skill, I would say. He can kind of take care of himself a lot of the time, which is cool. Magic Grisée is very nice. The Berserker bonus is really nice. And then the MP used to be actually still good with this nice OC, but man... So not only did they give the standard damage up, they also buffed his OC, which was really good as is. Like, it's Lee Lancer, but before damage. And this one also scales, unlike his, which is always 30%. Wow, that is a strong OC. That is a busted OC. Also, if the enemy is stunned and they're not immune to debuffs, they're definitely stunned for the turn. Definitely stunned. And in some cases, if you're fighting a threat against humanity, you will basically one-shot them. You will basically one-shot them. Because 2% extra damage is kind of ridiculous in an already hard-hitting MP. Woo, baby! Now, that's an MP that hits insanely hard. Wow. In fact, I believe he is the hardest-hitting single-target Lancer in the game. Taking like a one-turn setup into account. Everyone, including, you know, a certain very good unit that we'll see later as well as single target with their best supports. He here has the best damage in the game for Lancers for single target. Even without niches, I should have said that. Even without, obviously, the threat to humanity. Just base damage. Kinda nuts. I mean, my opinion still has not changed. Even though there's a lot of good Lancers nowadays, he's still at the top as well. Definitely at the top. Just still sitting there. I don't really see a reason to bump him down. He's still that good. You may argue, and that's fair, but I'm gonna keep him up there. Ooh, okay. This is flashbacks to a year ago when I did the 5-star tier list. Remember when I said... If I placed the rescue gun on A+, people thought I was crazy, people thought it was too high, I thought it was very fair, and then I said, she gets an MP buff, she immediately moves into EX. I wonder what I'm gonna do today. Anyway, AoE, Buster, damage. Both DPS and a farmer, actually. Very good for both. Very good for bosses, very good for farming. Attack slightly on the lower side, sadly. But with her kit being as is, it doesn't really even matter that much. Standard Lancer deck. Gains are alright, actually. I mean, the arts card is all I need to say. And the gains can be alright normally, and then they can be really insane that one time. So, yeah, that arts card, though. Star Gen, not that great, though. But besides that, yeah, not bad. The skills, though, oh, baby. So, it's a pretty standard self-invo 1 turn on a 6-turn cooldown. Very standard. But this one also has a lot of other... Again, I love the fact that these are all defensive. It's not awkward to use. So, you have 80% chances now. Debuff immune for 1 turn. Instant kill immune for 1 turn. And debuff removal resistance 1 turn. Now, this is the one you want to land, if anything. Maybe the debuff as well. You don't really care for this one. So, yeah. It's a good mix of stuff as well. I don't like the RNG too much, though, but it is what it is. Her version of Mana Burst, probably one of the best Mana Bursts in the game. Yeah, has the 50%. And with the cost of adding 1 cooldown, she gets a 50% battery. Yep, I feel like that's a very great trade-off. I would definitely take that any day of the week. A big reason why she farms so well nowadays as well. Well, I mean, she's obviously had that always, but I'm talking about the addition of more supports. And then the third skill, which I've always considered one of the best skills in the entire game. Obviously not the biggest deal maker for farming, but man, if you're fighting bosses, this is so ridiculous. So, party gets a special buff for 3 turns, which works with the MP. Does not stack if you have, you know, reduced this cooldown or get multiple Aresh though. But then the party, 20% defense up 3 turns. 30% MP gain 3 turns, and 3k max HP 3 turns, meaning it's very easy to just pop this turn 1, max cooldown value, half the time it's going to be up, It's just a super strong skill, man. It's so good. And then the added bonus when you use it with the MP, with the active as well, it's ridiculous. Magic Resist D, I wish it was a little bit higher. I mean, this already makes her one arts card more ridiculous, as if it wasn't needed already. And then more debuffers here. Very nice. The MP, used to not hit that hard, right? And remember, again, I said she was gonna be EX if they ever buffed her MP. Like, the only thing I wanted to see was just a damage upgrade. I don't think she even needed anything else. But then the madmen, what is this? What, they just went above and beyond besides the damage buff. Like, it's crazy. This is one of the best MP buffs in the history of the game. I only wanted damage, but, you know, it's so much more. So, now an Earth modifier, which is also not even super rare to face, because, you know, everyone is one of the attributes, and there's not that many of them. And you still have the effect of, you know, all allies under that buff get 20% attack for 3 turns, herself included, which is cool. And then 20% crit chance resistance on party for 3 turns, which is basically the buff version of crit chance down. In my opinion, better, because you don't need to land it and it cannot be cleansed. What? This doesn't matter too much, the AoE instant kill immune for 3 turns. But you know what? It's just bonus. It's just bonus. And then the MP, the OC as well. 10% buster before 1 turn before damage. This is a pretty stupid MP now, huh? It's a pretty stupid MP, huh? Yeah. I mean, I'm not even gonna argue, but I mean, you can place her wherever the hell you want. I will not place her under EX. No. She is by far a top tier Lancer. I'm not saying she's the best, because you might be thinking of someone else, which we might get to at some point here. But she's a top tier Lancer. That MP buff was all she ever needed, and now she's just no weaknesses. Just does everything well. Whew. I'm pretty happy for her. She didn't get a swimsuit, but she did get a massive buff. So there you go. Cool. Oh, now we go down a bit though. Someone yesterday, when I was talking about Lancers, you know, doing some prep and whatnot, we were talking about who might be the worst SSR Lancer. It might just be Bradamante, honestly. So, what do we have? AoE quick DPS / farmer. I'm probably gonna rate her as a farmer, because she certainly doesn't do that great of a job as a DPS. But even then, her farming is also not the greatest there has ever been. Attack, again, slightly on the lower side. Double quick, double arts. Honestly, it's fine. Looking at her kit later, I think the deck is fine. Gains are also okay. Nothing really wrong there, I suppose. Stargen also is okay. So, not too bad here, at least, I suppose. Yeah, this makes the deck a little bit less awkward. Having a quick and arts buff. 30% both each, 3 turns, 5 turn cooldown. Basic, but pretty okay. In fact, this is probably her best skill, if anything. Second skill, her defensive option as well. 1-time guts, 3 turns on a 6-turn cooldown. Not the worst uptime, but definitely not the best either. I like the 30% defense up for 3 turns. It's pretty solid. Definitely good damage mitigation. So it's definitely on the better side of guts skills, I would say. So, still okay. And then targeted 20% MP battery with a cleanse. Again, there's a lot of these 20% targeted 5-turn cooldown, and then the second effect usually varies. It's just alright, I would say. Magic Rosé is okay if bosses, but again, you probably would have way better options against bosses than she would. So, and then the MP. First of all, RNG stun. I like that it's AoE, which is cool. If you land an AoE stun, huge. But, yeah. And I do like the crit chance down, 20% 3 turns. And also MP damage for 1 turn before damage, 20%. I actually really like the MP itself. But the damage also isn't that great. Like, the MP itself, effect-wise, is actually pretty okay. It's pretty good. But can we just talk about the fact that she's been in the game for, like, what? 3 to 4 years now? How has she never been buffed yet? She's getting more and more behind as days go on. Like, she's like, and she's not terrible, but I think she's just the weakest 5-star of them all. She's never got a single buff on anything. Like, come on. At least 1 buff is needed. Come on. She just might be the weakest SSR. even with quick farming, again, her quick farming also isn't that great. It's actually somewhat taxing to do. It's not even super lenient. Definitely needs a super scope Scotty system and whatnot, and then even barely refunds in a lot of the times. I think just B, honestly. Again, she's not terrible, but of the SSRs, I think she's just the weakest. So there you go. Poor Bradamante. B for big ass. There you go. There you go. Oh wow, the rest, huh? Oh man. This is someone I always wanted but never got on JP, but I don't have to wait luckily too much longer for NA. So it's been a while since we covered the 3-star one, since he was very early on, and this one is very late. But here we go, we got actual big man Roma 5-star Quirinus, AoE buster chunk of a man. Attack very nice at 12.2k, very respectable. Double arch, double buster deck, I feel like is very much at home. Gains are also very noticeable. I like. Star Gem probably not as good as some of the other options, but still probably not terrible for a Lancer. Yeah, what can I say? Mance is already looking pretty good. And then the skills. Oh, and everything in the kit, huh? So, charisma, huh? So you get the standard 20% attack up 3 turns. Also 20% crit damage, and if your allies happen to be Roman, they also get more crit damage, and just if they weren't Roman, well, now they are. Well, no, this is for the enemies first, right? There's another one for, yeah, this is the enemy version. So enemies will be Roman for 5 turns, and keep in mind that's 100% uptime, which will definitely come into play here. That's 100% uptime. Granted, they don't resist it or remove it. On base, it's 100% uptime on Roman debuff on the enemies. Just think about that for a second here while we move on. Great skill, by the way. It goes without saying. Just great. Right, 6-turn cooldown. Self-invul, 2 attacks, 3 turns. Not bad. 30% battery. Alright, better than 20. And a nice chunk of 10 stars. It's alright. It's definitely very alright, I would say. Yeah. Not the greatest I've ever seen, but definitely good. Okay. Third skill. Self-buster up 30% on a 5-turn cooldown. That alone is already not that bad. Also, star absorb for 1 turn. That usually, you know, standard 500, 600, I guess. And if, you know, you didn't inflict... if this wasn't enough, now you can also inflict more Roman debuffs on the enemies when you crit with your attacks for 3 turns. So... you know, you're gonna keep everyone Roma. You're just gonna keep everyone Roma, basically. Okay, there you go. So, also a pretty solid skill, I would say. Nice uptime. Mostly for the buster. Magic Crusade is great. Honestly, again, I think I should rate Roma here more of a bus killer than farmer, yeah. I mean, obviously you could, you know, do farming as well, but there's a lot of options that might just be easier to work with. But, yeah, he's very great against bosses. Independent action B+ is very nice to go with the absorb. He's another one that has these. There's not that many Lancers that have it, just a handful it seems. And his divinity is just flat out better by including a nice 9% buster up as well, because why not? Ruler buff, whatever. Then the MP, oh my god. So yeah, bonus damage against Roman enemies. And the more bonus damage, the more Roman stacks they have, right? And again, this also inflicts Roman on them for 5 turns. It's the same as the first skill. And this one also gives your party the Roman buff for 5 turns, which again, if you have it, and then this skill comes off cooldown, they just get more crit damage as well. Because why not? And then the OC, I believe, is actually the exact same as the OG one. That's probably an homage to that. It's not the greatest OC ever, though, but, you know, at least the uptime is good on 3 turns. So it's a temper. It's after damage, though. But yeah, pretty easy to enable. I mean, even on just one Roman trait, it's already a base 100% damage upgrade, which is still very solid. Still very, very solid, right? Voice crack. He's just a very consistent guy. And he doesn't care if he's niche, because he literally makes everyone be his niche. Unless you're debuff immune, you're not going to escape this man's bonus damage. You're not. You're definitely not going to escape it. I think last time I placed him in EX, I might still do it, honestly. I think I will still do it, honestly. Not as a farmer, but as a DPS slash utility, but mostly as a DPS. He's just the top tier one as well. In some cases, I could maybe see A+, honestly. But, I mean, come on. Come on. I love the fact that he makes his own niche. Just, oof. Is he that good? Well, let's just say there might be another EX that, you know, a lot of people prefer later, but I still think he should be in the top tier, though. I still think. It's a hard one, honestly. Fuck, dude. Erice has an MP buff now as well. Again, both can be DPS as well. Fuck. Okay. Maybe I'll put him in A+, though. I don't know. Maybe, because of some of the competition evolving quite a bit. Dude, it's so hard, though. So hard. I'm not gonna place him in EX because of a grand status. No, that doesn't matter here. Fuck. I almost just... I feel like it has to be done, though. Not because of I want to, but he's just that good, huh? He's just really that good. Yeah, okay. Okay. I'm not gonna move him down. But he's still gonna be there. Right, Ritra. An interesting one. Another permanent one. AoE Arch DPS slash farmer, right? Yeah. Cool. Double quick, double arch deck. That's alright. Not bad. Attack very high. 12.3k. That is very nice. That is very, very nice. Is that the highest Lancer attack, actually? That might be. Very nice. Gains are also pretty good as well, huh? Yeah, so it seems. Probably not the most worst star gen either. Yeah, looking good. Looking good. Self arts up 30%, 3 turns, 5 turn cooldown, and also star absorb for 1 turn. I mean, it's already great for looping, but it's also great for DPSing because the uptime is so nice. I like it. Very good. Party divine damage, 3 turns. Okay. Mostly for the battery, if anything, the 30%, not too bad. But you know, again, at least divine is not the most rarest trait there is. So it's not that bad. And having party wide, you know, is alright. She also has a guts. 1 time 5 turn, 7 turn cooldown, so it's about the standard for the 5 turn ones. Health might be slightly higher than normal, but then this one also brings you other stuff. So you get 10% MP gauge every turn for 5 turns, and party wide MP damage 1 time 5 turns. I wish this was kind of 3 time, but okay, fair enough. Still better, much better than a normal guts of 5 turns and 7 turn cooldown. Still better by quite a bit. Just bonus stuff. Magic Rosé is nice, and honestly her passive is very cool as well. This is a very nice passive. Not like 10% buster up, sadly, you know. But you know, it's a bit of damage cut as well. Not bad. Maybe not the perfect for her of all servants, but you know, it's nice to have. The MP skill seal AoE. No, I guess it's alright. Another one of these 20% crit chance down for 3 turns. Always lovely if you're fighting bosses. And then arts res down 3 turns, 10% base. Sadly after damage, but still nice to have against bosses. 3 hitter on that MP. So I sadly don't have Ritra, so I didn't manage to really lab her. But is it true? I think Jordanian said she can do Black Grail Castoria looping. Is that true? Is that actually true? I haven't been able to lab her because I don't have her. If that is true, that's really good. Is he still here? I would like a confirmation if anything. Oh, well, yeah, but you need 22,003, right? Yes, okay. So it's not as good as Percival by any means in terms of the loop, but yeah, okay. I mean, she's definitely still a decent looper, I would say, but I wouldn't probably call her top tier or anything. But yeah, damage is also nice. She's probably A+, honestly. If anything. She looks just really solid across the board. You guys really think she's A? Really now? You guys don't think she's A plus? I think she looks very A plusy to me. Because I do like the high damage, and even though like Black Grail looping might not be the easiest, I mean you get a free Mystic Code change as well if you loop like with, let's say, her, you know, the Ritra CE, funnily enough, from Summer 6. I mean, you don't necessarily even need Black Grail on her because she has so much damage, right? If you compare it to Ryoma, he's much better. Is he though? I don't know about that. I feel like Ryoma has the opposite, whereas his looping is also not that great. His damage is definitely worse, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Ryoma can't loop. He definitely can. Not with Black Grail, but I literally did it yesterday. I'm not sure if you're just biased for Ritra here, Jordanian, but you're talking out of your ass. Ryoma can absolutely easily loop archers. Easily. But yeah, I might agree that he might be not as good. We'll see though. I guess now we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room. I think I'll keep Ritra in A+, honestly. She just, yeah, she's real fucking solid, dude. Okay. Here we go. Melusine. I don't even know if that's how it's pronounced. Probably not, because it's French. Right, I think. Fey Knight Lancelot. I don't even know what to call her, honestly. She's everything. Single target arts DPS, buster deep, AoE buster DPS, AoE buster looper. Just take your pick. She can kind of do it all, dude. Okay, let's start analyzing though. High attack, obviously not as Ritra, but anything above 12k is already very nice for an SSR. Double arts, double buster deck yet again, which I think is very good considering she also has very good crit potential. So both arts and buster are the best cards you could ask for. Gains are good, not amazing, but good. Star Gen, not that great, but also not bad. So already looking very solid. Oh my god, the skills. Oh my god. Okay. Self-attack up, 3 turns, 40%. Flat 500 damage cut 3 turns. Not the best, but it's just a bonus. Max HP self 2k for 3 turns, meaning you can easily pop it turn 1 and not get any, you know, it's not going to be awkward. Self charge 30%, 6 turn cooldown. Now that's a really, really strong skill. Yeah. Not her only battery, by the way. Right, and because she's a Lancelot, she has to be top tier for crits as well, huh? She has the stupid 5k absorb for 3 turns and a 5 turn cooldown. 10 stars per turn and a 10 bomb is ridiculous. She's gonna get every single star there is. Every star you get is directly going into her cards. Just, I mean, so many, we've seen so many Lancers with crit skills so far, but none of them even compare to this. None of them even come close to this, okay? Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And then the third skill, Messery. So, if you're running her with Ascension 1 and 2, maybe even some of the costumes, I don't know, I don't even have the costumes yet, you will transform into stage 3, and you get up to 100% battery. 100% battery. And why not a 1 turn invul on a 5 turn cooldown? Oh, okay, it's already better than average, but 100% battery. Okay. And then when you're, you know, using the skill again, when you either start with Ascension 3 or turn into Ascension 3 from this, I can't talk, you obviously don't get another 100% battery, but you do get MP damage for 3 turns. And it's still the same invul for 1 turn and a 5 turn cooldown, which is still good. It's still good. Even on like this, it's still good. 130% battery. Yeah. Magigris B, nice. Terror Creation A, B+, actually very nice when you're using her, especially as a single target DPS before you transform her, if you even will. You could kind of ignore the skill, but you know, it's kind of a shame. But yeah, even as a DPS, you might turn her into the 3rd form as well. And then the MP. So the single target version is they also added the pretty meh, you know, normal effect from Lancelot Saber. So it's not a defense down, it's a damage taken increase for 5 turns. So this is not that big. It's pretty meh. Nice, another 10 star bomb and MP generation 3 turns before damage, 20% base. Yeah, I mean even this MP alone on a 5 hitter, despite being single target with this, and possibly some Castoria buffs easily if you're gonna run her as a like a solo single target DPS. This MP alone refunds a lot, let alone, you know, even having a follow-up on this. It's kind of stupid. And then when you're in the third form, we now have the Buster AoE MP. Ignore Invul 1 turn before damage. Burn is whatever, but 20% base Buster damage before damage for 3 turns? You thought Erice was good? Nah, dude. Nah, dude. Ooh. So, if you're gonna do Buster looping with her, which is ridiculously easy, she can have the biggest damage potential ever, this also carries really well. Like, her wave 3 damage is so ridiculous. She does more damage on neutral than most good servants do on, like, effective damage. Is stupid. It's just stupid. It's stupid. Who designed this servant, man? There's nothing for me to say at this point. Honestly, I think we should make a tier here. I feel like we should. Because she is that good. She is that good, okay? We might just... This is a very rare exception, dude. We'll make it purple. Why not? Like, this is a very rare exception. She's just top 3... Probably a top 3 servant in the game, including all the OP supports. The top 3 might be her, Oberon, and Castoria or something like that. Is fucking stupid, dude. Oh my god. There you go. There's Melusine. I like the fact that some people thought I was gonna place her under EX. You're fucking high, dude. You're fucking high. She's ridiculous, and, you know, if there ever was nerfs to DPS, she would be the one to get one first. Okay. Now we have the finale. While not as exciting, maybe, still a very awesome and still a good unit as well. Sakamoto Lancer. AoE arts, much like Ritra, also rocking the double buster, double arts deck. Attack, sadly, not as high as Ritra or Melusine, for instance, but oh well. Gains are okay. Not amazing, but around average or so. Yeah, around average. Stargen also nothing too crazy, I would say. Use the FA. There you go. Very cute. Skills, though. Also a 3-turn arts buff for 20%, 6-turn cooldown. But also crit damage for party, 30% 3 turns, and 1-time OC for the entire party for 3 turns. With all those effects, despite the numbers not being that high, it's still a good skill. Definitely a good skill. Second skill, he also has a 50% battery on a 6-turn cooldown. Also, you don't remove his buffs for 3 turns. That's kind of nuts against bosses. That's up half the time just from himself, unless crazy stuff happens. And also, you don't debuff him for 3 turns. Now that is a great 50% battery skill. Obviously, not the other two are not that relevant against for farming, which he actually does still pretty well. I don't care whatever who says he still farms well. But yeah, against bosses, that's like one of the best batteries. Third skill, more damage. Another arts buff. Oh wait, I should have mentioned this arts. I think I said self here, but yeah, this arts is party here. Everything here is party. My bad. This is the self one. So he, them, they can get 50% arts up for 3 turns on both on 6-turn cooldown. So again, that's actually pretty nice. That's pretty damn nice. Also buster up as well for 30% and 10 stars per turn every 3 turns. Great skill as well. So again, I like the synergy. I do like the synergy. Nice song. Magic could be higher, not bad. Riding EX would be amazing. Only 1 quick though, but it does have 5 hits, so you know, I guess that 1 quick card is pretty sexy. And then this is very cool. Crit chance resistance 10% permanently and crit damage. Very good passive here. Very, very, very good passive. I love it. Alter ego damage, again, always fine for any knight class, so why not? MP is an interesting one because they get 50% defense up for 1 turn before damage. So again, if you time this correctly, you could again tank something possibly. Very high defense for that 1 turn. And also a very nice OC of 20% base MP damage for 3 turns before damage. Like, despite having a lower attack, with all these buffs, double arts, MP damage here, it's just... They still hit pretty hard. So now, I guess the primary comparison is against Ritra here. Is they're really the ones being compared here? Are they the same tier? Honestly, they might be. I think there's some differences, both in looping and their boss abilities, but overall, I feel like they kinda almost just balance out. They kinda just balance out. Vritra probably loops a little easier and maybe even a little bit better. Sakamoto does it as well, of course. You can absolutely do it. And both are fine for bosses too, if anything. Yeah. I feel like they should be on the same tier. Did I ever get to Melusine? Well, you can see her right there, if anything. There you go. Dude, 2021 servants they power creep pretty bad, huh? They really power creep stuff. It's interesting to look at the balance, though, because Archer was a lot higher, huh? So I guess Lancer might not be that great of a class still in comparison, servant-wise. Not saying because of the modifiers, but servant-wise. What's the excuse of having Parvati higher than Melt and Fionn? Because she's one of the best quick loopers in the game, and she's also great against bosses. Well, I don't think Melt and Fionn are that good against bosses. But again, that's just my opinion. And it's only a plus of difference, so... You know. Feel free to adjust things yourself. Speaking of adjustments, do we want to make many? I'm sure people have suggestions here, because now we kind of placed everyone. Now would be the time. Poor Benkei is all the way down there. Well, now would be the time to do some final tweaks before we call it a list. Benkei to EX, yeah. Crew to expect. Nah, no one is gonna. Lancer is gonna make it there besides Melusine. Ibaraki seems as good as Raikou. I still prefer Raikou, and it's not even a big difference between them. Clay to EX plus. Nah, I can't do that. In arguably, some people might even place him in A plus, but I still want to keep him in EX. But I won't place him in EX plus. Inshun is way too high. You might be right, honestly. Maybe I should bump both Houzouin and Liangyu down to C plus. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I should. What do you guys think? Self buffers down a notch, down a plus, a minus, if you will. Yeah, I feel like I should. They're just kind of hard to use, and their solos are not crazy good either. So yeah, just average. Just average. Yeah, extra class will be split into two pretty much, Ahmed. It won't be one list. That's not happening. Melt A plus Copium. There could be maybe an argument to be made. Like, I still feel like Parvati is where she should be A plus, but if anything, maybe Fionn and or Melt could be bumped into A plus, but I don't know, honestly. Maybe Melt should be there. I don't know. This is the small differences, man. It's always the small differences, right? Yeah. Oy, oy, oy. Melt does loop really well, though. Right. She's not the greatest against bosses, though, but she does loop pretty well. And I'm not the biggest fan that she is limited, though. But maybe I can just put her here. Because while Parvati is one of the best quick loopers and she's good against bosses, Melt still loops better as arts. So, you know what? Yeah. I guess I should order this better then. I think she's here, right? Supposed to be? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. What else? Does Fionn go up to? I don't know, honestly. Maybe Melt is slightly preferable? Maybe? I don't know. What do you guys think? Maybe they are the same. Maybe they just both should be there. Did you mean to write Fionn twice, Yuri? Huh. This is the most discussion we've had so far, but I feel like this is fair, if anything. Is Fionn good for solo? No. Yeah, I think like no matter what where I place them, I feel like Fionn and Melt should be in the same tier, right? Like they just should be in the same tier. Okay, NRT, you're just looking at like day one Fionn. You're saying his kit is worse than Melts and Loops, whereas he has a percent-based dodge. I think you haven't even considered one of his buffs. For one, with buff and with ranks, his dodge is not RNG based. Two, his skills are actually not bad, especially the first one after the buff. And the MP hits harder than Melt does, doesn't it? So I feel like that's you know, a difference maker that can put him on the same tier, if anything. I want to do it, right? I just want to do it. He doesn't have the layer buff the Melt has. Let me open Fionn's page here again. Where is he? But he still has a buffed MP though, right? And he still loops good enough. I mean, he might not loop as, you know, his refund might not be as good as Melt, but man. Like, he still loops fine. Like, well enough, I would say. I've done it myself in a lottery on JP. I want to place them in both here. Okay, I'm gonna... If you want to be moldy at me for placing Fionn at the same tier, let alone A+ for both Melt and him, feel free to do so. Feel free to do so. Also, yeah, small bonuses for Fionn for being permanent and very old at this point, so it's much easier to get copies. There you go. I'll take the hate comments for this if people truly, really hate Fionn that much. I feel like a lot of people just still have a way too big of a hate boner for him. Like, just too big of a hate boner. I mean, some points were definitely valid. I'm not saying everyone who was bashing him, were wrong, but I feel like some people were just like trying to make any kind of nitpick just to have him below their waifu Melt. Like, who fucking cares? I mean, you shouldn't care anyway, because Percival exists. He already shits on your waifu. Like, what does it matter if Fionn is in the same tier or not? Like, at this point, you shouldn't care, because Percival exists already as a permanent who just does the job much better. So I'm not sure why anyone would be mad at this point. So there you go. Again, this is not a favorites list. This is just gameplay, so there you go. Cool. We might just stick with this, honestly. Man, I just have a bad feeling that people are going to be extra savage on this one, because even my stream chat was, a bit disagreeing here and there. But I feel good with this list, honestly. I feel good. Oh, that's what you meant, Ahmed. Yeah, we might do that, honestly. We'll see. There you go. You know what? Again, I'll make an exception here. Because of the MP buff, I can't place him. I cannot place him in D. But I will give him a plus, okay? I'm a merciful god, okay? You earned it, boy. You earned it. There you go. Hey! AoE buff strip, let's go! There you go. Alright. The one time I actually have an E+ tier. There you go. Shout out to the MP buff. Woo! Will Bazette be included in extra tier list? Of course, of course. I will hopefully have time to use her quite a bit before that as well. Oh, it's the same color as Melt. Oh yeah, let me fix that. There you go. He's the gray sheep. Okay. Whoops. So yeah, I think I'll just end it here. Again, if you watch the entire thing on YouTube, please let me know. And try to be, again, civil in the comments in case you just skip to the end to see the final placements and whatnot. Again, more than any time, like a lot of stuff here top could be easily shuffled around. Maybe some here down as well, but I do like this placement, so there you go. I do like this placement. But yeah, absolutely feel free to know what you think, but try to not be like insulting or anything. Like, feel free to tell me your own opinions as well. I'll read all the comments as always. And yeah, next week, well, hopefully next week, again, I'm gonna try and do these every week, but next week, if it happens, or whenever it happens, it's gonna be Riders, I believe. So that's gonna be cool. I actually like the Rider class quite a bit. So yeah, can't wait. Hopefully you guys are hyped for that as well. if you want to catch these live, I always stream these on Fridays. But I know for NA time zone, my streams tend to be pretty bad on the timing. But yeah, always nice to see people tuning in anyway. So shout out to everyone watching. Shout out to you if you're watching this later on YouTube. And if you're for some reason watching on both, you're the best, I guess. Yeah. Press the like if you can. Makes my day better. Makes me more motivated to keep pushing with these lists every single year. And subscribe for more. Don't miss out on future uploads like these tier lists. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out.